Chapter 1034. Venerable Hongzong was a skinny old monk. As he had just advanced to the immortal venerable realm not long ago, his qi was still a little weak. However, compared to the other thought fragmentation realm cultivators, he was much stronger. His aura field was not something that a true immortal could compare with. The aura field of the eternal immortal swept across the surroundings. Those who saw the eternal immortal venerable for the first time in Luli City were even more frightened. They felt that there was no other way to resist the pressure except to kneel down. Oh, finally, it's Hongzong's turn. This kid is not bad. He can be considered as an outstanding person to be able to reach the immortal venerable realm in 5 million years. It's a pity that he is not good at body refinement. Otherwise, he could probably lead the Qi Feng division to achieve 100 swords. At the top of the high platform, one of the 5 middle region sovereigns who had been silent all this while finally spoke. It was the Bone Spirit Sovereign. He, Taoist Bone Spirit, don't look down on Hongzong. As far as I know, he has specially cultivated some kind of secret technique for the trial of force. Oh? I am curious what kind of secret technique can help a person who is not good at body refinement to achieve 100 swords. Taoist Buddha Sob seems to think highly of this Hongzong. The Bone Spirit Sovereign's eyes flickered and asked, Taoist Buddha Sob, please continue to watch. You will know why I like him. The Buddha Sob Sovereign laughed strangely but did not answer. Just as Great Emperor Bone Spirit had expected, although there was an immortal venerable in the Qi Feng troop, the result was not so good that it would shock the world. When they reached the 44th strike, everyone except Hongzong had already retreated due to exhaustion. Only Hongzong was left to face Shin 23. Hongzong was indeed not good at body refinement. Although he was an immortal venerable expert, his body was not as strong as some peak thought fragmentation realm cultivators who specialized in body refinement. Under the attack of Shin 23's giant sword, he seemed to be in a difficult situation. On the 60th sword, Hongzong started to feel tired. On the 75th sword, he was already panting. It seems like the 75th sword is the limit of the Qi Feng division. The Bone Spirit Sovereign's eyes suddenly lit up. Hongzong suddenly flipped his hand and took out several gloomy talismans. With a loud shout, he slapped them on the ground. Immediately, several gloomy circles appeared on the ground out of thin air. From within the circles, several ferocious-looking ghosts were born one after another. Is he relying on the ghost transformation technique? I didn't expect him to have mastered this kind of ancient Buddha technique. He is indeed extraordinary. The Bone Spirit Emperor's tone changed as he complimented. Even Tiandu, 100 Flowers, and Lu Tu'a looked at Hongzong with a weird gaze. Only Buddha Sob seemed to have known about this since the beginning, and he chuckled with a strange expression and wasn't surprised at all. After Hongzong summoned many ghosts, he suddenly used a spell to devour the ghosts. Immediately, his originally thin body began to swell, and dark red eerie patterns appeared on his skin. Fangs grew out of his mouth, and a ghost horn grew out of his head. Those who didn't know would think that Hongzong had turned into a ferocious ghost. However, his physical strength had a terrifying increase. Originally, 75 sword strikes was his limit, but now he received 104 sword strikes in one go. It's a pity that this kid's ghost transformation technique isn't perfect yet. Otherwise, he would have been able to obtain a better result from eating those ghosts. The Buddha Sob Emperor sighed. Suddenly, he asked Lu Tu'a Emperor in a strange manner, "Fellow Taoist Lu Tu'a, what do you think about this kid compared to your disciple? This kid is not worth mentioning. How can he be compared to my 100 Lu sect's disciple?" The Lu Tu'a Emperor laughed arrogantly. "I also think that this kid is better than killing 100 Lu sect." The Buddha Sob Emperor laughed and said no more. He continued to watch the next trial. After the Qi Feng division, a few more matches passed. Then, it was the turn of the other Dark Horse team of this mausoleum-seizing battle, the Sea Shaman Division. The Sea Shaman Divisions, which Wu Yan was also not an expert in body refinement, but she was slightly stronger than Hongzong. Her result in this round was 1 sword strike more than the Qi Feng Division. 105 sword strikes. It's a pity. As far as I know, This girl has a deep understanding of poison techniques. Although many poison techniques have great side effects, they can enhance one's physical body. If this girl used them, it wouldn't be difficult for her to obtain a higher result. The Bone Spirit Emperor shook his head and sighed. Fellow Taoist Bone Spirit, I'm afraid you've forgotten that Wu Yen isn't aiming for the first place. She doesn't intend to spend too much effort in the first round. She has made up her mind to preserve her strength and fight for the third place. She's not Shi Dang's match, let alone my 100 Lu sect's disciple. However, as long as she can defeat the Qi Feng Division's Hong Zong, she will be able to obtain the third place and obtain the South Sea spring water. Hee, what a good plan. I think fellow Taoist 100 Flowers asked her to do this. It was the Lu Tua Emperor who spoke and glanced at the 100 Flower Emperor coldly. Obviously, the Lu Tua Emperor knew that Wu Yen had secretly helped the 100 Flower Emperor. So what if I'm the one who asked her to do so? There's no rule in the Mausoleum seizing battle that says otherwise. The 100 Flower Emperor was straightforward. She admitted it directly and gave the Lu Tua Emperor a cold glare. The atmosphere between the two suddenly became tense. Fortunately, the Buddha Sab Emperor came to lighten the atmosphere immediately. He told a few extremely vulgar and boring jokes but failed to make anyone laugh. After the awkwardness, he suddenly asked the Lu Tua Emperor with a strange smile. Fellow Taoist Lu Tua, do you really think that this Wu Yen is inferior to your 100 Lu sect's disciple? Of course, this Wu Yen is nothing. How can she be compared to my disciple? The Lu Tua Emperor said conceitedly. I also think that this Wu Yen is inferior to your disciple. However, it's still fine to be your disciple's wife. The Buddha Sab Emperor's words seemed to be a joke. However, the Lu Tua Emperor's eyes instantly turned gloomy as he heard the Buddha Sab Emperor's sarcasm. The Buddha Sab Emperor was mocking his disciple for not having a wife. What about Sha Bai Lu's wife? He was killed by Sha Bai Lu. His disciple was a wolf. He was a crazy wolf that would not recognize his own kin. He even cultivated the extremely cruel and merciless Tao of kinslaying. This Sha Bai Lu came from the Lu clan of the Colored Glass City. However, he was ostracized in the Lu clan because of this. Killing Bai Lu was indeed powerful, but this power was obtained by killing his father, mother, brother, sister, wife, son, and a series of other crazy acts. Moreover, it wasn't that Sha Bai Lu didn't want to kill his master. This was also the main reason why the Lu Tua Great Emperor hated Sha Bai Lu. The current Sha Bai Lu didn't kill his master because he wasn't strong enough. However, if this disciple had enough fated chances to break through to the immortal emperor realm one day, he would probably turn around and wave his butcher's knife at Lu Tua Great Emperor. Now that the Buddha Sab Emperor was mocking this matter, the Lu Tua Great Emperor was naturally unhappy. He snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. The trial was still going on. After the Sea Magus tribe, there were a few more teams that didn't stand out. After that, it was the Stoneman tribe's turn. The Stoneman tribe's immortal Venerate Stoneman was very popular. His appearance naturally attracted countless people's attention. After Stoneman tribe's immortal Venerate Stoneman went up, he glanced at Sha Bai Lu's direction. When he saw that Sha Bai Lu's eyes were closed and didn't care about his trial result, he was so angry that he laughed. You Sha Bai Lu, do you think I'm still a 1 tribulation immortal Venerate? Now, I'm a 2nd tribulation immortal Venerate. I didn't come for the first place in this mausoleum seizing battle. I came here to take revenge on you. Today, I will return all the humiliation you gave me. All of you back off. Sha Bai Lu is a one-man team. I don't need you to help me participate in the trial of force. It turned out that Shi Dang was extremely arrogant. He had ordered all the experts of the Stoneman tribe behind him to retreat and only faced Shin 23 alone. Give me a gift. If not, I will kill you. It was still Shin 23's stupid demand. You want a gift? I don't have the habit of spitting everywhere. If you want to fight, let's fight. Stoneman tribe shouted. This immediately infuriated Shin 23. Not giving him a gift was a humiliation to him. This was a fact that he firmly believed in the depths of his memory. This Stoneman tribe was really hateful. Boom. Shin 23's giant sword slashed down. Stoneman tribe actually laughed and used his palm to receive the giant sword. His body was as hard as the ground of Central Continent. With Shin 23's limited cultivation, he naturally couldn't cut through the defense of Stoneman tribe's body with the rusty blunt sword. Stoneman tribe used his body that had been painstakingly cultivated for many years to resist the giant sword. It wasn't because he was careless, but because of his strength. 1 sword, 2 swords, 3 swords. In just 100 breaths, Stoneman tribe had received 200 swords in succession before he began to pant. After 349 swords, Stoneman tribe's strength was finally exhausted. Shin 23 was indeed powerful. His cultivation was already so terrifying even when sealed. What kind of cultivation would he have when he was at his peak? Unfortunately, Stoneman tribe's intelligence was too low. Otherwise, Stoneman tribe would use the connections of the sacred mountain to bring this powerful Shin corpse devil back to the Stoneman tribe and make him a guardian corpse devil. 349 swords meant 34,900 points. Such a result was really frightening. If it was in the previous competitions, this score could directly disregard the second round. How is this Stoneman tribe? Can he be better than your disciple? Buddha Sab Emperor asked in a strange voice. Of course not. Luo Tua Emperor said impatiently while thinking why this Buddha Sab Emperor kept asking such questions. I also think not. Then why did you ask? Are you making fun of me? Luo Tua Emperor was even more displeased, but because he was not as strong as Buddha Sab Emperor, he suppressed his displeasure. The entire plaza was drowned in the cheers for Stoneman tribe. Some people felt it was a pity that Stoneman tribe didn't spit on Shin 23, which made it less fun for them to watch a fool. However, more people believed that Stoneman tribe didn't spit on Shin 23 because he wanted to provoke the corpse devil on purpose. To be able to obtain such a frightening result under the corpse devil's rage, Stoneman tribe was worthy of being one of the favorites to win the second round of the mausoleum seizing competition. It should be your turn next, right? I remember that apart from my Stoneman tribe, there are only you and the external cultivators of the Pagoda Wood tribe. After Stoneman tribe left the stage, he purposely came to Sha Bailu's side and spoke in a boastful manner. Sha Bailu, who was resting with his eyes closed, finally opened his eyes slightly. The way he looked at Stoneman tribe was filled with disdain. Are you trying to show off in front of me with such a trivial result? Do you know why I have never participated in the mausoleum seizing competition? It's because there are too many trash like you. You can't pique my interest at all. The only one who can pique my interest is him. Sha Bailu sneered and pointed at Ning Fan. Shi Dang's expression immediately turned extremely gloomy. He was actually called a trash by Sha Bailu. Damn it. Damn it. When the illusory trials begins, I will definitely teach this Sha Bailu a lesson. As for Ning Fan, whom Sha Bailu thought highly of, Shi Dang did not take him seriously at all. That Ning Fan was just an external cultivator with limited cultivation base. If his cultivation base was at its peak, perhaps Shi Dang would pay more attention to him. Unfortunately, with the restriction of the punishment ring, it was not worth mentioning. Sha Bailu, just you wait. I will certainly take your life in the illusory trials. Shi Dang said ruthlessly and retreated back to his team. Most of the spectators were looking forward to the upcoming illusory trials even more. The battle between Sha Bailu and the external cultivator Ning Fan was not the only thing worth watching. Perhaps the old and new grudges between Shi Dang and Sha Bailu would also be present. After the Stoneman tribe, only Sha Bailu and Ning Fan had yet to participate in the trials. According to the usual practice of the mausoleum seizing battle, a one-man team would usually stay until the end. After all, a one-man team was usually full of highlights and could be used as the finale. Sha Bailu's scoreboard lit up before Ning Fan did. He smiled coldly and glanced at Ning Fan's direction. Then, with a flash of blood-red light, he directly appeared in front of Shin 23. His action immediately attracted the attention of the crowd. This Sha Bailu was quite impressive to be able to use an escaping technique in the middle state where the sky was forbidden. As soon as he entered the arena, he seemed to have no patience at all. He was too lazy to waste any time. Before Shin 23 could open his mouth, he had already spat impatiently on Shin 23's body. You sure? Have some self-awareness? Then, let's begin. Shin 23 nodded his head in satisfaction. He swung his giant sword at Sha Bailu's head. As for Sha Bailu, he also did not use any weapon. Instead, he directly used his physical body to receive the giant sword. 10 strikes, 20 strikes, 30 strikes, 100 strikes, 200 strikes, 300 strikes. It was only until the 448th strike that Sha Bailu felt a little out of breath. On the 594th strike, Sha Bailu's strength was exhausted. He took a step back and did not waste any time talking to Shin 23. Then, the entire square erupted into cheers. The cheers were even louder than Shi Dang's. There were also countless people who believed that Shi Dang would be the champion. Now, they instantly turned to Sha Bailu's side. Some of them also began to sigh inwardly because of the conflict between Sha Bailu and Ning Fan. If they did not know how terrifying Sha Bailu was, they would still think that the two of them were worth watching and could compete with each other. However, looking at the current situation, there was no doubt that Sha Bailu was the heaven while Ning Fan was the earth. Sha Bailu would be easily trampled under his feet. I'm afraid the Trial of Illusion will be the burial place of that external cultivator with the surname Ning. Some people secretly believe this. As for Ning Fan, who was the last to enter the arena, the crowd did not have much expectations. What was Ning Fan's cultivation base? It would be fine if he was at his peak. Unfortunately, he was an external cultivator who was sealed by the punishment ring. It was impossible for him to achieve a high result in the trial of force. It would be better for this person to quickly enter the arena and end the trial of force. Then, he would begin the next round of the Trial of Illusion. Just as countless people were looking forward to the result, Ning Fan's scoreboard glowed with golden light. He tapped the scoreboard and the golden light faded away. Only then did he walk towards Shin 23. In fact, Ning Fan also felt pity for this Shin 23. He would never sympathize with the weak. However, he had always admired those who would rather die than submit. This Shin 23 was unyielding when he was alive. However, he was fooled by others after his death. How pitiful! If it was possible, Ning Fan really wanted to give Shin 23 a true release. He wanted to turn him into ashes and make him disappear from the crowd's eyes. However, he could not do that. He did not want to cause more trouble. Moreover, he knew that he did not have the strength to free Shin 23, who possessed terrifying strength. However, for some unknown reason, the closer he got to Shin 23, the more he could feel the desolation from his body. It was not an illusion. It really existed. Even though his soul had already dissipated, his physical body was still sad and unwilling. He was unwilling to be someone's puppet. He was unwilling to serve a group of ancient Buddhas. He was unwilling. As he got closer, Ning Fan seemed to hear Shin 23's angry roar from the depths of his soul. It was an indescribable feeling. It was a kind of connection between two ancient devils. It was a kind of appeal that came from the bloodline of the other party. Fellow clansmen, give me release. Who will repay your karma with my broken body and blood? Give me release. I, Zido Immortal Cultivator, cannot be a slave. I, Zido Immortal Cultivator, cannot lower my head. Zido Immortal Cultivator. This ancient devil was actually an expert who came from Zido Immortal Domain when he was alive. Most of the Zido Immortal Cultivators would die in battle to protect Zido Immortal Domain. Is this person one of them? If Ning Fan only felt that Shin 23 was pitiful and pitiful before, he actually felt deep respect for him now. Zido Immortal Cultivator. Why would he hesitate to fight? Why would he be afraid of a battle? His life and death were all for Zido Immortal Cultivator. Zido Immortal Cultivator's corpse should not have such a desolate ending. Since you want to be released, I will send you to your death. Ning Fan's powerful voice was drowned in the wind and rain. No one could hear it. The rain began to fall. At the moment when Ning Fan activated the Tao Law of Rain, the protective golden light of the God Exterminating Shield was a defensive ability. It could not be used, With his limited cultivation base, it was almost impossible for him to withstand more attacks than Sha Bai Lu without using the protective golden light. Moreover, his current plan was not to withstand more attacks than Sha Bai Lu. He wanted to destroy the sword of this Zido immortal cultivator. He wanted to destroy his shackles. He wanted to destroy his golden hoop. He wanted to destroy his corpse. He wanted to destroy everything he had. He wanted to send him to ashes. He wanted to send him to death. Strange. The sun was still high in the sky just now. Why did it suddenly rain? The residents of Lioli City found it strange. However, there were some who noticed the changes in Ning Fan's body and were shocked. That external cultivator had actually comprehended the Tao law of rain and fused the power of the Tao law of rain into his physical body to increase the offensive power of his physical body. On the high platform, Buddha Tir Emperor's eyes lit up and he asked Emperor Lu Tuo again. Fellow Taoist Lu Tuo, what do you think about this external cultivator with the surname Ning compared to your disciple? Of course, he's not as good as him. This young man is just an ant. How can he be compared to my disciple? I'm sure fellow Taoist Buddha Tir also thinks so. No, I don't think so. I think this young man is a little stronger than your disciple. Fellow Taoist Buddha Tir just loves to tell jokes. However, this joke is not funny. If you don't believe me, why don't we make a bet? On the high platform, Buddha Tir Emperor was making a bet with Emperor Lu Tuo. Below the high platform, Shun 23 was asking Ning Fan for a gift like a fool. Give me a gift? If you don't give me, I will kill you. If you can do it, then come and kill me. Can you do it after being imprisoned for so long? You are courting death. Shen 23 seemed to be enraged by Ning Fan. He increased the strength of his giant sword and slashed at Ning Fan's head. That sword was more than 10 zhang in size. Compared to it, Ning Fan, who was not tall in the first place, looked even smaller. In the midst of the wind and rain, Ning Fan raised his left hand and billowing black qi immediately emerged from it. Before the spectators could see what the black qi was, they were already shocked to find that Ning Fan's left hand had already pressed on the edge of the giant sword at lightning speed. His 5 fingers had even directly penetrated the giant sword that was forged from the immemorial star system, leaving 5 hideous holes on it. This external cultivator actually damaged the weapon of the corpse devil that is taking the test. That is an immemorial devil weapon forged from the immemorial star system. Even if it has been around for a long time and its spiritual power has greatly decreased, it is impossible for it to be damaged so easily. Didn't you see that even Shi Dang and Sha Bai Lu couldn't do it? How did he do it? Wait, that's not a hand. It's a claw. As the black qi that lingered around Ning Fan's left hand dissipated, 5 sharp claws of a demon beast appeared in front of everyone. The moment Tu Huang, who was disguised as Qing Ling, saw this scene, he was slightly surprised. This little external cultivator actually dares to use this spiritual equipment. Chapter 1035. What Ning Fan used was obviously the prize he obtained from the blood martial arena, the Hui Dragon Claw. Seeing that Ning Fan had refined this spiritual equipment in just a few days, Tu Huang could not help but feel slightly surprised even with his experience. The Hui Dragon was not a native species of the Supreme Pill's sacred region. According to Tu Huang's knowledge, the Hui Dragon seemed to be a species of the true world. As for the Hui Dragon in the Supreme Pill's sacred region, it was said that the medicine gatherer saint, the southern alchemy saint, captured it from a certain devil region in the true world. The Hui Dragon in the Supreme Pill sacred region only lived on the continent of the 10th grade ominous domain. There were very few of them. However, any one of them had a cultivation base that was beyond the ancient era. The Hui Dragon was a type of devil dragon. It was known for its hard and sharp scales, horns, and armor. The hardness of its scales and horns was comparable to the immemorial star iron, while its sharpness was even better than the immemorial star iron of the same grade. The magic treasures and weapons forged from it were even better than the immemorial star iron of the same grade. The magic treasure spirit equipment forged from the Hui Dragon's scales and horns was naturally extremely sharp. However, it had a drawback. Its devil chi was too heavy. It was not suitable for cultivators who were not on the devil path at all. Even for cultivators on the devil path, they would need countless years of hard work to refine and subdue a Hui Dragon magic treasure spirit equipment. Not everyone could successfully refine the Hui Dragon Claw within a few days, even for an ancient devil. Only an ancient devil with at least ancestral bloodline could easily suppress the monstrous devil chi in the Hui Dragon Claw and quickly subdue it. Thinking of this, Tu Huang could not help but narrow her beautiful eyes. Even though she knew that Ning Fan was an ancient devil, she did not know what level he was at. She thought that under the great illusion of the illusory world where the devil race was sealed by blood, this young man would at most be an ancient devil with royal bloodline. However, she did not expect him to have such a powerful ancient devil bloodline. Even though the Hui Dragon Claw was just a 12 Nirvana-acquired spirit equipment, it was forged from the sharp claw of an immortal Emperor Realm Nightmare Dragon after all. It might not have many variations in its abilities, but in terms of sharpness, almost none of the magic treasures below the innate spirit equipment could resist it. In addition to the offensive power of the Tao of Rain, its offensive power was naturally more outstanding. Thus, it was not difficult for it to make a hole on an immemorial devil weapon whose spiritual nature had decayed. Seeing how Ning Fan managed to damage the giant sword of the corpse devil with a single strike, the surrounding people exclaimed in surprise. Ning Fan's was not that surprised. After refining this spiritual equipment, he had tested its power in private. He had already expected such an attack. The Black Dragon Claw was not an external spiritual equipment. Instead, it was equipped on the bones of Ning Fan's palm, skin, flesh, and blood. Looking from the outside, one could not see the existence of the Hui Dragon Claw. They could only see that his left hand was showing signs of demonization. Almost his entire left arm was covered with fine Hui Dragon scales. Blue veins could be seen under the scales. The fingernails on his left hand had grown to 7 inches long. Looking from afar, they shone with cold light. It was as if they were not fingernails but sharp blades that could cut through anything. The first sword. Even though the sword was pierced by Ning Fan's fingers, Shen 23 still had a numb expression on his face as if this matter was just a trivial matter in his eyes. His bruised and stiff wrist only needed to casually shake the huge sword, and instantly there was an unimaginable huge force, like a raging wave hitting the shore, overbearingly spreading through the sword body. All of a sudden, Ning Fan felt a sharp pain coming from the bones of his left hand. His hand was shaken by that huge force and he could no longer hold the huge sword. How could he not know that in terms of physical strength, there was a huge gap between him and Shen 23? Even if Shen 23 was suppressed in various ways and could not exert his full strength, his strength was still above Ning Fan's. As if it was just a routine, Shen 23 continued to slash Ning Fan for the second time after the first sword. It was still an incomparably heavy sword. That kind of heaviness was not only because of the weight of the sword and the strength of Ning Fan but also because of the changes of the Tao Law. Today was Ning Fan's first time seeing this kind of Tao Law. Even with his many years of experience in cultivation, he actually could not tell what kind of Tao it was. He only felt that it was hazy and chaotic and he could not see it clearly. Moreover, he did not have the time to think too much at this moment. Instead of retreating, he moved forward. The devil claw on his left hand shone with a bright black light. His 5 fingers slashed upwards and 5 rays of black light in the shape of a crescent moon broke through the air and went against the huge sword that was falling from the sky. Boom! A deafening explosion resounded. The result was that they were evenly matched. The 5 rays of light blocked the second sword and even left 5 nicks on the edge of Shen 23's huge sword. Moreover, there was a voice that seemed to have directly resounded from the depths of Ning Fan's soul. My kin, give me release. Who will repay you the karma with my broken corpse and blood? Give me release. You are the master of the Devil Conferral Summit. I can feel, give me, devil burial, devil burial? What devil burial? The master of the Devil Conferral Summit? What does that mean? At this moment, Ning Fan had a very strange feeling. He realized that this kind of voice that came from the depths of his soul was produced by the resonance between the bloodlines of two ancient devils. Without a doubt, the one who spoke was the senior ancient devil who had died countless years ago. It seemed like he had some kind of ability that allowed him to leave a trace of this ability in the devil blood of his corpse to transmit his last words. The others could not hear it except for him who was an ancient devil. Before Ning Fan had the time to think, the third sword came. Ning Fan had no choice but to brace himself to receive the third sword. It was not a big deal for him to receive 3 consecutive sword attacks. However, the fact that it left damage on the immemorial devil weapon in succession was indeed a little shocking. Naturally, the surroundings were filled with exclamations of surprise. Of course, other than exclamations, there were also some doubts. One should know that the trial of force did not allow anyone to use magic techniques to block the slashes of the giant swords. Those who doubted it naturally thought that Ning Fan had used a method other than his physical strength to participate in the trial. However, those with discerning eyes could see that what Ning Fan used was just a piece of spiritual equipment that increased his physical strength. The reason why he used the sword attacks from afar was not his magic power but the legendary ancient devil essence chi. It did not violate the rules of the trial of force. The collision of force between Ning Fan and Shin 23 was still going on. The 4th sword, the 5th sword, the 14th sword. Ning Fan's forehead began to drip with sweat. However, it was quickly washed away by the rain. To him who was just a 9th Nirvana heavenly devil, taking on Shin 23's slashes head-on consumed a lot of his strength. As for Shin 23, even though he did not look tired at all, the cracks on his giant sword were increasing. Unfortunately, he who did not have a high level of spiritual intelligence obviously did not realize this. He was still swinging his sword continuously. However, what Ning Fan could not understand was that every time Shin 23 slashed his sword, he would ask Ning Fan for the devil burial in the form of a soul voice. "I'm from the same clan. Why don't you give me the devil burial? Lord of the Devil Conferral Summit. Why don't you set me free? I want the devil burial." What was the devil burial? How did Ning Fan know? The 15th sword, the 16th sword, the 42nd sword. Ning Fan understood that the 42nd sword strike was the limit of his physical strength. The essence chi of an ancient devil was not inexhaustible. Currently, he had almost exhausted all of the essence chi in his body after the 42nd round of battle. This Shin 23 was really strong. Hong Zongwin, Sherdang Shabailu. Each of the experts who had achieved a result above 100 swords definitely did not live up to their reputation. In terms of body refinement, even Hong Zong, who was the weakest in body refinement, was far above him. The trial of force. This was a trial that tested one's body refinement realm. Ning Fan could strengthen the sharpness of his devil claws by attaching the Dao laws to them and slowly destroy Shin 23's giant sword. However, he could not increase his body refinement realm by attaching the Dao laws. If his ancient devil cultivation base was higher and if he had more essence chi in his body, he could also try to withstand 100 or even 200 sword strikes. However, he could not do it now. This was the so-called exhaustion. If he did not have any trump cards, he would probably be defeated by Shin 23's sword within a few moves. Could it be that I can only defeat Shin 23 and set him free only by using the luminous pearl that the Sovereign Slayer gave me to recover my cultivation base? Of course, those who were sealed by the Xing Ring were basically those with the cultivation base of Jieshui. Even if he temporarily undid the seal on the Xing Ring, it would not be beneficial to increase the strength of his physical body. However, if he regains his cultivation base, he would at least be able to unleash the full power of the Dao laws that he had mastered. At the same time, he attaches many Dao laws to the Hui Dragon Claw and attaches them to the strongest level. Ning Fan was confident that he could destroy everything that Shin 23 had within a few moves. The sharpness of the Hui Dragon Claw coupled with the enhancement of several types of Dao laws made its offensive power not to be underestimated. Just as Ning Fan was pondering, Shin 23's request came from the depths of his soul. The art of killing is the proof of the master of the Devil Conferral Summit. You are the chosen successor of Lord Mo Zhong, my lord. please, use the art of killing to give me a devil burial? The art of killing was actually the proof of the master of the Devil Conferral Summit? He was chosen to be the master of the Devil Conferral Summit just because he knew the art of killing? It was Ning Fan's first time hearing about this. In the past, he only thought that he had learned a technique from Great Emperor Mo Zhong. However, he did not expect that there was actually such a great meaning behind this technique. Of course, now was not the time to think about this meaning. What made Ning Fan curious was what exactly did it mean by using the art of killing to give him a devil burial. He did not understand why Shen 23 would mention this. Perhaps, he could try to listen to Shen 23's request and use the art of killing to see how he could give Shen 23 a devil burial? With that in mind, Ning Fan secretly activated the art of killing. At first, he did not feel anything. However, a moment later, his expression changed. It was as if the sea of people had turned silent. However, countless unwilling roars could be heard from heaven and earth. 42 swords. It seems like he is already close to this young man's limit. If this result is achieved by others, it would be considered not bad. However, compared to the result of my 100 Pavilions disciple, it's not worth mentioning. Fellow Taoist Buddhasab, do you still think that this young man is stronger than my 100 Pavilions disciple? Great Emperor Lu Tuo chuckled and said to Buddhasab in the direction of Buddhasab. However, his tone carried a hint of sarcasm. Fellow Taoist shouldn't underestimate this young man. He should still have some tricks up his sleeves. Don't forget that he is an ancient devil. I can sense the chi of some kind of lost ability of the ancient devil from his body. Buddhasab seemed to have great confidence in Ning Fan. Lost ability of the ancient devil? Ancient devils are inferior living beings. Legend has it that the lost abilities of the ancient devils are unfathomable. However, in the eyes of Buddha cultivators like us, the abilities of the ancient devils are nothing. So what if this young man knows one or two of the lost abilities of the ancient devils? Emperor Lu Tuo said disdainfully. His tone was filled with pride as a Buddha cultivator. The lost abilities of the ancient devils had the word lost in their names. Naturally, most of them were lost ultimate arts. The inheritance of the lost ultimate arts of the ancient devils had long been cut off. Even their names were rarely passed down. Even though Emperor Lu Tuo was an immortal emperor, he had only heard of 3 types of lost abilities of the ancient devils. The bone-crushing weapon technique, the Devil Eye transformation technique, and the Great Devil Space Escape technique were not to say that these abilities were not powerful enough. However, there were some ultimate arts in the Buddhist Dharma that specialized in learning these few types of ancient devil abilities. In that case, Emperor Lu Tuo naturally would not think that the lost abilities of the ancient devils were anything special. Buddhas naturally had their own pride when facing devils. It was also reasonable for them to look down on the abilities of the Devil Dao. Emperor Lu Tuo did not think that Ning Fan had any extraordinary lost abilities of the ancient devils that could allow him to achieve a higher result. However, Buddhasab did not think so. Buddhasab was one of the few people in the Great Humble Clan who had a deep understanding of the ancient devils. If he was not mistaken, Ning Fan seemed to have been preparing a lost ability of the ancient devils from the moment he received the first sword attack. Most of the abilities of the ancient devils were restrained by the corresponding Buddhist Dharma. However, there were very few ancient devil abilities that were an exception. If I'm not mistaken, what this young man is using should be the great technique that was ranked first among the 9 great forbidden techniques on the Devil Conferral Summit in the past. Moreover, he has even reached the 3rd level of that technique. Buddhasab already had a guess in his mind, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he still put on a playful expression and said to Emperor Lu Tuo, "Since fellow Taoist doesn't believe me, why don't we continue with our previous bet? Let's bet that this young man can receive 100 sword attacks. What do you think?" Bet? Sure. If fellow Taoist loses, you have to give me your devil commanding 9 palaces iron that was refined for 3 million times. How about that? Emperor Lu Tuo said impolitely. That is an innate material that I have refined 3 million times. Fellow Taoist is really demanding an exorbitant price. Fine. Let's bet with that. However, since that's the case, I won't be courteous anymore. If fellow Taoist loses, I want the vicious Bai and Yuan Zhe of your 7 great innate fire spirits. I don't want the violent sparrow. After all, that fire spirit has already become someone else's. Even if I want it, I won't come to you. Buddha Sob suddenly let out a strange smile. However, it was precisely the thorn in Emperor Lu Tuo's heart. The violent sparrow. The 7 great fire spirits that he had spent millions of years of hard work to refine were actually devoured by Ning Fan. How could Emperor Lu Tuo not feel resentful? You can only choose between the vicious Bai and Yuan Zhe. Moreover, I can't give you all of them. At most, I can give you half of the vicious Bai. It's impossible for me to bet a complete fire spirit on your devil commanding 9 palaces iron. Since that's the case, I'll bet on the vicious Bai. That's great. I'll wait for your devil commanding 9 palaces iron. When Emperor Lu Tuo thought that he would be able to win the devil commanding 9 palaces iron from Buddha Sob in just a short while, his originally malicious expression instantly became much brighter. While they were talking, Ning Fan had already received the 49th sword attack. For this 49th sword attack, Ning Fan no longer had any excess essence chi to block the gigantic sword. Instead, he used his devil claw to block the gigantic sword. Ning Fan was barely able to withstand this sword attack. It was different from the first sword attack where he used his devil claw to block the sword attack. This time, Ning Fan no longer had much strength left. He was directly forced to take tens of steps back by the massive force of the gigantic sword. He looked rather miserable. At this point, Emperor Lu Tuo was almost certain that Ning Fan would definitely not be able to withstand the 50th sword attack. Even if he risked his life to receive a few more sword attacks, he certainly would not be able to withstand the number of 100 sword attacks. This time, he would definitely win the bet. Almost everyone had the same opinion as Emperor Lu Tuo. They all believed that Ning Fan had already reached his limit. The spectators in the surroundings sighed regretfully. Being able to withstand the 49th sword attack was enough to prove that Ning Fan's strength was extraordinary. It was enough for him to be ranked 5th in this trial of force, second only to Sha Bailu and the other 3 dark horses. However, that was all. It was still far from enough for him to compete against the 4 dark horses. Wu Yan, on the other hand, curled her lips. She was calmly meditating on the rainy ground with her eyes closed. She was not paying attention to Ning Fan's trial at all, as if it was just a trivial matter. Wu Yan, on the other hand, curled her lips. She, on the other hand, was watching Ning Fan's match. After all, she had heard that Ning Fan was also a helper invited by the 100-Flower Emperor. Initially, she wanted to find Ning Fan in this trial of illusion and join forces with him to fight for the 3rd place. Shi Dang, on the other hand, sneered coldly. He could not understand why Sha Bailu valued Ning Fan so much. 49 sword attacks. This result was just too inferior. It was not worth mentioning at all. As he had expected, an external cultivator whose cultivation base was sealed was really not worth mentioning. Sha Bailu, on the other hand, was a little disappointed. He did not expect that the prey he valued so highly only had this level. It really made him lose interest in killing him. At this moment, Ning Fan stopped moving and his expression turned solemn. The rain was still falling but it had stopped. The wind was still blowing but it had stopped. Countless devil roars seemed to be echoing in his ears. They were getting louder and more deafening. It was as if there were tens of thousands of ancient devils calling Ning Fan the same name at this moment. Venerated Lord, give me a devil burial. Venerated Lord, give me a devil burial. The same voice was actually coming from all directions. Those voices seemed to be coming from the tens of thousands of ancient devils in the Great Humble Clan. Shen 23 was definitely not the only ancient devils who had died here and turned into corpse devils. All of them were asking for help. If Ning Fan did not activate the killing technique, he would not be able to hear the pleas of these ancient devils. If Ning Fan did not activate the killing technique, those ancient devils who had passed away countless years ago would not be able to sense Ning Fan's existence from afar. Ning Fan did not know that the killing technique was a funeral song that only the ancient devils who had passed away could listen to. As the master of the Devil Conferral Summit, immortal Emperor Mo Zhong had created the killing technique. One of the uses of this technique was to send the dead ancient devils to their graves. The physical bodies of ancient devils were incomparably strong. They were the best choice for making puppets. If the ancient devils who refused to submit to death were turned into puppets after their deaths, then as the master of the Devil Conferral Summit, he had a responsibility to send those puppets to their graves. This was called devil burial. In this place, Shen 23 was definitely not the only ancient devils who had turned into corpse devils and puppets. Shen 23 was definitely not the only one who desired Ning Fan to give him a devil burial. There were tens of thousands of them. In the beginning, Ning Fan's decision to send Shen 23 to his death was based on his respect and sympathy for the martyrs. But now, he suddenly felt a sense of responsibility. Since the Devil Conferral Summit had been destroyed, the one who possessed the killing technique would be the master of the Devil Conferral Summit. Of course, the title of master did not seem to have any meaning at all. There were no subordinates, no power and no benefits. But so what? Ning Fan seemed to have gained a new understanding of the killing technique. At this moment, he seemed to have touched the essence of the killing technique. The essence of the killing technique was not to kill but a kind of responsibility. Killing should not be the goal. The goal should be to redeem oneself. For example, immortal sovereign Zido swept through the world in order to pacify the chaos in the world. There were also many immortal sovereign Zido cultivators who sacrificed their lives to protect the world. The reason why they spilled the blood of their enemies was just to protect their families and friends. It was not that Ning Fan did not understand this principle. It was just that it was his first time comprehending it from the killing technique. Killing to recover one's essence chi and killing to increase one's cultivation base were all techniques. As for the killing intent, it was the Tao. By combining the Tao of techniques, the killing technique was truly complete. Besides, the killing intent could not just be understood. It must come from the heart and be integrated into the technique. Only then could it be truly displayed. At this moment, when Ning Fan combined the Tao of techniques, he was surprised to find that he could actually absorb the essence chi of the dead ancient devils within a certain range using the killing technique and turn it into his own. It was not strange that the killing technique could recover one's essence chi. However, in the past, he needed to kill his enemies in order to recover his essence chi. Now, it was no longer necessary. It was as if he could absorb the essence chi of the dead ancient devils in the surroundings. Then, he could turn their essence chi into his own. Ning Fan had a strange feeling. The current killing technique was different. If he uses the killing technique to eliminate Shen 23 in front of him, it seemed like he could obtain some benefits. It was a benefit that only those who carried out the true intent of killing could obtain. It was the privilege of the former master of the Devil Conferral Summit, Great Emperor Mo. After a short moment of confusion, Shen 23's expression turned numb again. His identity as a corpse devil puppet did not allow him to violate his duty in the trial of force. He swung his gigantic sword at Ning Fan for the 50th time. Ning Fan's essence chi was recovering rapidly. He was quietly absorbing the essence chi that was constantly leaking out from Shen 23. Thus, he calmly received the 50th sword strike. Then, it was the 51st sword, 52nd sword, the 99th sword. The speed of his essence chi recovery was faster than the speed of his consumption. As for the source of his essence chi recovery, it was directly plundered from Shen 23's body. He plundered it in a way that no one would be able to discover. The cheers in the surroundings became louder and louder. Emperor Lu Tuo's expression became darker and darker. He was about to unbelievably lose the bet that he was originally confident in. When Ning Fan successfully received the 100th sword strike, Emperor Lu Tuo finally could not bear it anymore. He slammed the table and rose to his feet, almost forcefully stopping Ning Fan's trial of force. With this young man's cultivation base and means, it's impossible for him to receive the 100th sword strike. I suspect that this young man has already secretly destroyed the punishment ring in his body. We must immediately examine the punishment ring in his body. If it's true, not only will this young man's result in the trial of force be nullified, but he also deserves to be cut into pieces and killed on the spot. Someone, take this young man down and examine his body. As soon as Emperor Lu Tuo gave his order, 2 immortal venerables of the 10,000 ancient era behind him flashed and dashed towards Ning Fan, who was below the tall platform. However, before the 2 of them could reach Ning Fan, they were stopped by the other 4 immortal venerables at the same time. Emperor Lu Tuo's eyes immediately narrowed and his expression turned grim. Buddha's tear was also not strange. That bastard had always loved to stir up trouble and wished for the world to be plunged into chaos. Especially since he still had a bet with Emperor Lu Tuo this time, it was even more impossible for him to watch Emperor Lu Tuo nullify Ning Fan's result in the trial of force of 100 sword strikes. Gu Ling was also not strange. Gu Ling was always going against Emperor Lu Tuo. When he saw that Emperor Lu Tuo was against Ning Fan, he would naturally protect Ning Fan out of habit to make Emperor Lu Tuo unhappy. However, what Emperor Lu Tuo did not expect was that even Emperor Tiandu, who had always been unkind and hated external cultivators, would actually stand on Ning Fan's side. Fellow Taoist Lu Tuo, don't be anxious. The punishment ring in little friend Ning Fan's body has not been destroyed. As the person in charge of the middle state, I possess the weapon of the holy mountain. If this young man destroys the punishment ring, I will sense it immediately. Don't interfere with the trial of force. The trial of force will continue. Emperor Tiandu's slightly warning gaze and the way he addressed Ning Fan as little friend made Emperor Lu Tuo's heart skip a beat. The relationship between Emperor Tiandu and Ning Fan seems to be not simple. If Emperor Lu Tuo still has to be wary of someone in the middle state, Emperor Tiandu would definitely be the most powerful one among them. The dispute on the high platform did not affect Ning Fan at all. He was still going through the trial of force. His results were constantly improving and he had already endured 110 sword strikes. He only took a glance at the high platform when he was free, but he did not look at it for a long time. If he did not gain another understanding of the killing technique, he would most likely need to temporarily lift the seal on his cultivation base in order to free Shin 23. However, now that his killing technique had advanced to a higher level, he did not need to do so. He could feel that the process of recovering his essence chi was actually a process of weakening and strengthening. The essence chi that he was using to recover was the essence chi that he was constantly extracting from Shin 23's body. Even killing Bai Lu did not weaken Shin 23, who had an enormous amount of essence chi. However, Ning Fan had slightly weakened Shin 23 through the process of weakening and strengthening his essence chi. Ning Fan found it hard to imagine how strong Shin 23 was when he was at his peak. The amount of essence chi that was left in his corpse was just too terrifying. Ning Fan did not know how many thousands or tens of thousands of swords would have to be used to completely consume all of it. Forget it. I'll just slowly deplete it. When Shin 23's essence chi is depleted, it will be the time for me to launch my attack. 200 sword strikes, 300 sword strikes, 400 sword strikes. On the 475th sword strike, Shin 23's gigantic sword cracked to its limit. With a cracking sound, it broke from the middle. If he relied on the killing technique to recover his essence chi, then he completely relied on Ning Fan's ferocious attacks to wear down the gigantic sword of this immemorial devil weapon. One should know that killing Bai Lu had used nearly 600 moves, but he could not even leave a dent on the gigantic sword. Ning Fan, on the other hand, had broken the gigantic sword before the 500 sword strikes. Regarding the grudge between Ning Fan and killing Bai Lu, the residents of Lioli City originally did not think highly of Ning Fan. Now, they were shocked to find out that Ning Fan seemed to be even stronger than killing Bai Lu. Hong Zong had long lost his composure. His eyes, which were originally filled with vigor, widened like a bull's eyes at the moment. He stared at Ning Fan, who was standing at the center of the square, in disbelief. Wu Yan was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. Shi Dang clenched his fists tightly with a gloomy expression. Killing Bai Lu, on the other hand, was trembling with excitement. When Ning Fan's result finally surpassed his and was approaching the result of 1,000 swords step by step, he actually threw his head back and laughed heartily, venting the excitement in his heart. His Tao could only be proven through killing. If he kills Ning Fan, it would certainly bring great significance to his path of cultivation. Sure enough, coming to the mausoleum seizing battle this time was the right choice. 1,000 swords. If this young man's result exceeds 1,000 swords, he will be able to obtain one of the 3 rewards that the sacred ancestor left behind in this place. However, this reward of 1,000 swords seems to have never been opened to external cultivators before. Fellow Taoist Tiandu, please decide how to deal with this matter. Buddha Sab Emperor, who always wished for the world to be in chaos, suddenly let out a strange laugh. At that instant, the other monarchs all wore different expressions. As for Monarch Lu Tuo, he let out a furious roar. I strongly oppose this. The Sacred Mountain's supreme technique is one of the 3 rewards. Even immortal emperors like me find it difficult to obtain a technique from the Sacred Mountain. How can we let an outsider take advantage of it? Especially since this outsider is an ancient devil through and through. Chapter 1036. Oppose? How can you and I go against the will of the sacred ancestor? I'm very interested to know what the 3 rewards will be if the sacred ancestor's reward really appears. Buddha Tier Emperor did not hide the anticipation on his face at all. Buddha Tier Emperor was not the only one. Other than Emperor Lu Tuo, the other great emperors were also very concerned about the reward that Ning Fan was about to receive from the sacred ancestor. Ning Fan had no idea about the discussions of the outside world. Currently, his mind was fully focused on the battle against Shin 23. His body and mind were in an extremely strange state. His feet were clearly standing on the ground, but he felt like he was standing on the top of the world. It was as if he was not standing on the ground at the moment but was standing on a high place that no one could reach, looking down at the billions of devil cultivators in the world. It was as if he was standing at the peak of all devils. This was the feeling that the art of slaughter gave Ning Fan after the fusion of the Tao of techniques and Tao. Moreover, after activating such a art of slaughter, Ning Fan's body vaguely emitted an indescribable noble aura. That aura was originally very fleeting. However, as Ning Fan clashed with Shin 23's broken sword time and time again, it gradually became clearer. He ruled the world, and there was no devil that he could not defeat under the heavens. This was the aura of a devil lord that only the former master of the Devil Conferral Summit could possess. Because Ning Fan had only comprehended the art of slaughter, which was the fusion of the Tao of techniques and Tao for a short period of time, his devil lord aura was not obvious yet. However, it was still captured by the sharp senses of some of the old monsters of the lowly clans. They were secretly shocked. What shocked them was, of course, the moment Ning Fan's Devil Lord aura appeared, it actually gave them orthodox Buddhist cultivators a feeling that he was unreachable. It was as if Ning Fan, who was an ancient devil, was the moon in the sky and the stars in the sea, while they, the Buddhist cultivators, were the mud in the field and the dust in the mulberry field. When facing Ning Fan, they actually felt an indescribable sense of inferiority. The Buddhas actually felt inferior when facing a devil. As arrogant Buddhist cultivators, they naturally felt ashamed. They just thought that it was because their Buddhist cultivation was not firm enough and they did not have any other guesses. Of course, it was even more impossible for them to express their humble feelings out loud and let their fellow Buddhist cultivators make fun of them. They still maintained a calm and composed expression on their faces and maintained their silence. 1147 swords, 1148 swords, 1149 swords. Ning Fan's score in the trial was still rising. This matter had exceeded everyone's expectations. What puzzled the spectators the most was that Ning Fan, who seemed to be having a hard time breaking through to the next 100 swords, actually became more and more skillful and effortless towards the end. He no longer showed any signs of exhaustion, as if the energy in his body was inexhaustible. On the contrary, the chi of the corpse devil Shin 23 was getting weaker. Under such circumstances, Ning Fan was gaining the upper hand in the battle against the corpse devil. The wind and rain howled. Amidst the sounds of the wind and rain, the deafening sounds of demonic claws and broken swords clashing against each other rang out incessantly. 2,000 swords. 3,000 swords. 4,000 sword strikes. 3,051 swords. Countless years ago, this was the highest score left behind by the examinees in the second round of the mausoleum seizing. Ning Fan had long surpassed this record. If there were no accidents, Ning Fan could even continue fighting against Shin 23. Because of the life-killing technique, there was no possibility of him running out of strength. As long as the conditions allowed it, it was possible for him to achieve the result of 10,000 or 100,000 swords. However, what Ning Fan pursued was not an insignificant and useless result. On the 4,714th sword strike, he finally destroyed the last half of the gigantic sword in Shin 23's hand with the sharpness of the Hui Dragon Claw. On the high platform and the surroundings of the public square, exclamations immediately resounded. There seems to be no end to this young man's result. I really want to know how many sword strikes this young man can withstand under his limit. Unfortunately, the sword of this corpse devil has been destroyed. It seems like this young man's result can only end here. After all, the result of the trial of strength is determined by the number of sword strikes he receives. If the sword is broken, before the Buddha tier emperor could finish his words, his eyes suddenly turned cold. After Ning Fan completely destroyed Shin 23's gigantic sword, he attacked Shin 23 again without any hesitation. What is this young man trying to do? Judging from the intense killing intent that was emanating from this young man's body, could it be that he wants to eliminate the corpse devil that is taking the exam? As if to prove the Buddha tier emperor's speculation, Ning Fan had already arrived in front of Shin 23 at the next moment. He leaped into the air and pierced the center of Shin 23's glabella with his left hand that was as sharp as a blade. The golden hoop that was restraining Shin 23's glabella also broke from the middle. It was completely unable to withstand the sharpness of the Hui Dragon Claw. There was no defensive resistance as expected. Shin 23 did not have the slightest bit of spiritual intelligence. He had no idea what he should do after his gigantic sword was destroyed. All he could do was stand there blankly and endure Ning Fan's fatal strike. His physical body was not as tough as he had expected. Shin 23's physical body was too decayed. If the experts of the Great Humble Clan were to properly repair his physical body, the defense of his physical body would definitely reach an extremely terrifying level. Of course, even if his physical body was just decayed, it was still enough to withstand most of the attacks. Unfortunately, most of the attacks here did not include the sharp attack of the Hui Dragon Claw. Shin 23 could not feel the pain at the center of his glabella. He just stared blankly at Ning Fan, who was standing right in front of him. Somehow, he felt a sense of relief. There seemed to be a trace of heat in his body, which made his heart that had stopped beating suddenly tremble. There was a trace of emotion in his heart. Thanks. The physical body that had been dead for countless years actually expressed its gratitude to Ning Fan. Shin 23 did not know where this gratitude came from. He only felt that his exhausted eyes could finally close. Have a safe journey. Ning Fan seemed to be talking to himself. Suddenly, his left hand surged with essence chi and turned into a slash that exploded at the center of Shin 23's glabella. 5 devil claws slashed and rampaged inside Shin 23's body. In an instant, Shin 23's body that had been corroded by the passage of time was completely destroyed from the inside out. With a loud bang, Shin 23's physical body exploded and turned into a mist of blood. Then, the blood mist was washed away by the rain and turned into a pool of blood that carried the rotten smell of time. The entire place fell into dead silence. No one had expected that Ning Fan would kill the examiner corpse devil in the midst of the trial. Cruel. It was too cruel. Although the examiner corpse devil had a lowly status and was bullied by others, the people of Great Humble Clan had never thought of harming his life. Ning Fan, on the other hand, even dared to kill the examiner. His murderous nature was too strong. Since ancient times, Ning Fan was the first person who dared to kill the examiner corpse devil in the trial of force. In just an instant, Ning Fan was regarded as a devil by the people who were proficient in Buddhist Dharma. No matter how strong this person was, he was undoubtedly a devil who killed without blinking an eye. Has it ended? Ning Fan was not interested in the gazes of the people who regarded him as a tiger or a leopard. He just closed his eyes and sensed it silently. After activating the life-killing technique, he could hear the sorrowful cries that others could not hear. After he destroyed Shin 23's corpse, the ancient devil cries that were spreading in the Great Humble Clan were reduced by one. Was this the devil tomb that Shin 23 wanted? There was no tombstone, no coffin, no joss sticks, no mourning music, no worshippers, no friends, no old friends, no future, no past. There was only unfamiliarity everywhere. This was probably the simplest funeral in the world. However, compared to the life of a corpse devil, this kind of devil burial should be considered as a luxury. Shin 23 had obtained true peace. This was good enough. Rest in peace. This is... Ning Fan's eyes suddenly narrowed. Among the filthy blood on the ground, thousands of bloodlines suddenly flew out and flowed into his body. At first, he wanted to defend himself. However, after realizing that these bloodlines were actually beneficial to him, he just let them enter his body. Isn't this the benefit of sending Shin 23 to his funeral? Those bloodlines that entered Ning Fan's body were the essence of Shin 23's devil blood that was hidden deep in his flesh. Now that they entered Ning Fan's body, they directly dissolved into his blood as if there was no barrier between them. Instantly, the grade of Ning Fan's devil blood improved tremendously. Previously, he had already fused 4 drops of ancestral devil blood into his devil talisman. However, after killing Shin 23, there were signs of forming the 5th drop of ancestral devil blood. The 5th drop of ancestral devil blood was only 1/3 formed. It had yet to be completely formed. Even so, it still made Ning Fan's devil might increase by a lot. His ancient devil cultivation base had also improved tremendously. He was already halfway to the 10th nirvana realm of the heavenly devil clan. If it was someone else, it would be considered as the result of millions of years of bitter cultivation. Could it be that the owner of the life-killing technique can obtain such great benefits by sending off every ancient devil? Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Then he could not help but laugh. The reason why he chose to send off Shin 23 was because of his respect for the martyrs of Purple Battle. Of course, if he could obtain some benefits from it, he naturally would not reject it. Feeling the rapid increase of his cultivation base and the grade of his bloodline, Ning Fan did not know whether he should feel sad for Shin 23's death or feel happy for himself. However, the sudden change in the scene quickly dispelled his thoughts. After the bloodlines entered his body, the square suddenly shone with Buddha light and 3 dazzling golden treasure chests appeared in midair. There was also an unimaginably massive aura force that instantly swept across the place as if the sky was collapsing. Ning Fan was inwardly shocked. He had cultivated for many years and he was certainly not a weakling. However, under this aura force, he still felt powerless like an ant. This was actually the aura force of a saint. Fortunately, even though this aura force was massive, it did not have any oppressive intent. Instead, it was gentle like water. Otherwise, Ning Fan really did not know how to resist it. When the residents of Dabei who were watching the test felt the pressure of the saint, they cried out in surprise and knelt on the ground. Clearly, they did not expect the pressure of the saint to descend. The immortals and Buddhas on the high platform stood up one after another. Although they did not kneel, they did not dare to sit down in the face of the Buddha light that filled the sky. They stood respectfully. The fact that one could obtain a reward on top of 1,000 swords could not be hidden from the immortals and Buddhas present. However, most of the Daibei residents were still young and had never seen the reward of 1,000 swords many years ago. Naturally, they would be very curious. Ning Fan didn't know why the 3 treasure chests appeared, but he was good at gathering information. He secretly used his mind-reading technique and saw the reason from the hearts of some of the second-step female cultivators. It turned out that obtaining 1,000 swords in the trial of force would also allow one to be rewarded by the saint. This was truly an unexpected harvest. All living beings are trapped in a circle, the inside and the outside are unstable. It was like waking up from a dream, like dust, like this. The great Tao is vast, but it is humble. The weeds are scattered, but they bow their heads and are tenacious. The moment the ancient voice rang out, all the people of Dabi began to shout in unison, their voices filled with fervor. We welcome the descent of the sacred ancestors' will. The sacred ancestors' will. In this Dabi clan, the one who could be called a sacred ancestor was undoubtedly the herb-gatherer saint who was known as the Southern Medicine Saint. The saint was already dead. However, his will had turned into the rules of heaven and earth, remaining in the supreme pill sacred region. This voice was produced by the saint's will in heaven and earth. The saint's will did not have any thoughts. Naturally, it would not talk to anyone. It just operated like a machine to convey the reward to Ning Fan. The 3 treasure chests that were hovering in midair suddenly fell in front of Ning Fan. Then, the first treasure chest opened on its own with a cracking sound. According to the rules of the Dabi clan, obtaining 1,000 swords in the trial of force will allow the sacred ancestors' will to descend and reward you. This is your opportunity. Don't miss it. You can choose one of the rewards from the 3 heavenly layers of the sacred ancestor. You must be cautious. 4 of the 5 emperors of the Middle State spoke up and explained to Ning Fan. The one who did not speak was naturally Emperor Lu Tuo, who did not get along with Ning Fan. After the 4 emperors reminded Ning Fan, the ancient voice spoke again. My inheritance will only be passed down to those who are capable. Those who obtain 1,000 swords in the trial of force will be able to obtain my inheritance. This is the first reward. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes were focused on the first treasure chest. Those who had some understanding about the reward of 1,000 swords were secretly guessing what kind of reward Ning Fan would get. Those who did not know about the rewards of the sacred ancestor also gained some understanding about the rewards after the 4 emperors and the sacred ancestors will spoke up one after another. When the treasure chest was opened, the first thing that everyone saw was a dazzling golden lotus seat. This lotus seat was not some precious treasure. What made many immortals and Buddhas gasp was a section of golden lotus root that was floating on top of the lotus seat. The eyes of the 4 emperors flickered while Emperor Lu Tuo's expression darkened. He did not expect that the first reward that Ning Fan obtained would be such a supreme treasure. The golden lotus root of fortune. This item only existed in the legends of the Dabi clan. It was not meant to be eaten. Instead, it was meant to be used to reshape one's body. According to the ancient records of the Dabi clan, there was once an immortal venerated Buddha who destroyed his physical body and used the golden lotus root of fortune to reshape his bones, flesh, and blood. The physical body that he obtained from the lotus root was incomparably strong. Even though that person's cultivation base was still at the immortal venerated realm, his physical body alone was already enough to defeat the immortal king realm experts. He could even fight against a quasi-emperor realm expert without falling into a disadvantageous position. Of course, this item also had its drawbacks. Even though the physical body of the lotus root was incomparably strong, it would make one's cultivation base stagnate forever. Once the physical body of the lotus root is formed, it would mean that one would no longer be able to increase his cultivation base through cultivation. It could be considered as reaching the end of the path of cultivation in this lifetime. However, these drawbacks were not really a big problem. Most of the cultivators would not be able to reach the quasi-emperor realm in their lifetime. Having a physical body that was comparable to that of a quasi-emperor realm expert was already enough for them. They did not expect to continue to advance and attain the true immortal emperor realm. Even those old monsters who aspired to attain the immortal emperor realm would not look down on this item. Why must the body of the main body be made into the physical body of the lotus root? He could totally make a second primordial spirit and give it a strong physical body. In this way, he would directly have an incomparably loyal subordinate of a quasi-emperor realm expert. Moreover, it would not affect his main body's future achievements. Even if he does not create a physical body for his second primordial spirit, he could totally create a puppet with the physical body of a lotus root. A quasi-emperor realm lotus root puppet was also very strong. Ning Fan's gaze fell upon the golden lotus root. He was extremely tempted. This item was not only recorded in the ancient books of Debay but also in the ancient books of the Four Heavens. It was also mentioned in the inherited memories of ancient chaos. If I choose this item and use it to create a puppet with the strength of a quasi-emperor realm lotus root, it would indeed be a good choice. However, he could not make a decision now because there were still 2 more boxes that he had yet to open. This is the second item. As soon as the saint's voice fell, the second box was also opened. The golden light dispersed. The item inside the box was a treasured pestle that was surrounded by dark purple flames. The intimidating chi of a low-grade innate magic treasure shook everyone's heart, including the immortal emperors. It's actually an innate magic treasure. It's impossible. No one has ever received an innate magic treasure from the previous saints. What kind of ability does this young man have to be so lucky? This time, Emperor Lu Tuo could no longer hold back the irritation in his heart and spoke out of jealousy. His jealousy was also reasonable. To an immortal emperor, the number of innate magic treasures they had was almost equivalent to their combat power. The majority of immortal emperors only had 1 Xiantian treasure. Think about it, if you and the other immortal emperor had the same cultivation, and you had 2 Xiantian treasures while the other only had 1, it was obvious who had the upper hand. Unfortunately, Khanate treasures could only be found by luck. Immortal emperors who had 2 Khanate treasures were too few. Emperor Lu Tuo had been searching for innate magic treasures for many years. Today, he only had 2 of them, and one of them was even a defective one. As for Ning Fan, his bone spirit was still weak and his cultivation base was also low. However, he had the chance to obtain an innate magic treasure. It really made him a little jealous. Emperor Luo Tuo was not the only one. Even the other 4 emperors' faces stiffened. Clearly, they did not expect Ning Fan to be so lucky. It would be a lie if they said they were not envious of him. Previously, when they saw the golden lotus root of fortune in the first treasure chest, the eyes of the monarchs merely lit up, but they weren't too tempted. After all, quasi-emperor puppets were not very useful in a battle between immortal emperors. However, innate magical treasures were different. They were too precious. Even if it was only a Xiantian lower grade, it was definitely a treasure that could only be found by luck. On the other hand, Ning Fan's eyes were not as passionate when he looked at the second treasure chest. He did not lack innate magical treasures. What he lacked was the cultivation base to use innate magical treasures. This innate treasure pestle seemed to be a powerful offensive magic treasure. Unfortunately, it was just a low-grade innate magical treasure. It was completely incomparable to his realm-drowning water bottle. Even if he chooses this innate magical treasure, it would be difficult for him to unleash its full power with his current cultivation base. On the contrary, it was not as practical as the golden lotus root. It's still more convenient to have a quasi-emperor realm expert as a helper. At least, I don't need to fight personally in the future, and I will be able to defeat all immortal king realm experts. Just as Ning Fan's mind was racing, the third treasure chest was also opened. Unlike the previous 2 treasure chests, the third treasure chest did not emit any dazzling golden light after it was opened. The chest was empty except for a shabby wooden token. There were no words carved on the wooden token, nor was there any chi of a magic treasure. On the surface, it looked just like an ordinary wooden token. However, could an ordinary wooden token be used as a reward for a sage realm expert? Even if Ning Fan was an idiot, he would also know that this wooden token had some special purpose. Of course, he did not know what it was used for. The immortals and Buddhas on the high platform wore blank expressions. Only a few of them knew the purpose of this item. On the high platform, only the 5 emperors of the middle province knew the origin of this item. Below the high platform, there was only Tu Huang who had concealed his strength. His brows were knitted and his expression was a little solemn. At this moment, the 5 emperors of the middle province were staring at the shabby wooden token in the third treasure chest fervently. All of them knew what this item was. However, none of them came to explain the preciousness of this item to Ning Fan. Among the 5 emperors, none of them were willing to let Ning Fan choose this item. This item was too precious. It was so precious that it made them jealous. It was so precious that it could allow Ning Fan to break through to the immortal emperor realm within a few years. How could this young man obtain such a precious treasure? From the straightforward expressions of the 5 emperors of the Middle Province, Ning Fan could read the meaning behind it. He could not help but frown. What exactly is this wooden token? Judging from the expressions of the 5 emperors, it is definitely more precious than a low-grade innate magical treasure. This wooden token has a name in the Holy Mountain. It's called the Blood Exchange Token. If you bring this item to the Holy Mountain, you will be able to obtain the inheritance of the saint blood of our clan's saint ancestor. You will be able to exchange your own blood with the genuine diluted saint blood. Once the inheritance is successful, you will obtain a cultivation base that is comparable to an immortal Emperor Realm expert within a few years. In the future, your cultivation base will improve by leaps and bounds. Tu Huang's voice suddenly resounded in Ning Fan's mind. Ning Fan's expression remained unchanged, but his heart was filled with astonishment. The inheritance of the saint blood. The genuine diluted saint blood. Breaking through to the immortal Emperor Realm within a few years. This small wooden token actually has such a function. No wonder the 5 emperors of the Middle Province on the high platform would rather die than explain this item. It must be because this item is too precious and they are unwilling to let me choose it. Even if the saint blood has been diluted, it is still a legendary item. It actually exists. The temptation of breaking through to the immortal Emperor Realm within a few years is too great. Presumably, there are very few people in this world who can resist this temptation. However, Ning Fan was not too tempted by it. The matters of cultivation were usually fair. There were bound to be gains and losses. With such a great benefit, there must be a greater disadvantage behind it. He had no doubt about this. I suppose this item has its disadvantages. Ning Fan's expression was calm, but he was secretly transmitting his voice to Tu Huang. Hee. The disadvantages are indeed not small. In the past, Light Buddha obtained the blood exchange token as a reward just like you. With his innate potential, he shouldn't be qualified to become the strongest expert of the Holy Mountain. Today, however, he has become the strongest expert of the Holy Mountain. What a great title! What a pity! Does his cultivation base really belong to him? Tu Huang paused for a while, as if it was related to a secret. He did not want to talk about it anymore. However, this was already enough for Ning Fan to imagine. Did Light Buddha, the strongest expert of the Holy Mountain, come to the Holy Mountain because he chose the blood exchange token? What does it mean that his cultivation base does not belong to him? Ning Fan could not help but recall the scheme of old ancestor En Mo in the desolate land. Chills ran down his spine. Could it be that the dignified Light Buddha, the strongest expert of the Holy Mountain, has also fallen into someone's scheme? Could it be that this blood exchange token is a huge trap? Ning Fan unnoticeably glanced at Tu Huang. His eyes met Tu Huang's, who had changed his name to Qing Ling with a faint smile. Qing Ling's knife-scarred husband in name immediately scolded Qing Ling. At the same time, he glared at Ning Fan a few times, believing that his wife had an affair with the great devil Ning. Ning Fan was speechless. Then he withdrew his gaze. He was too lazy to watch the little drama between the young couple. Inwardly, he was thinking about Tu Huang's warning. Is it possible that Tu Huang is lying? The purpose of this shabby wooden token is not what she said at all? Or perhaps, her words are 30% true and 70% false. The purpose is true but the disadvantages are false. Or perhaps, her words are true but she is still hiding something from me. Ning Fan did not know whether he should trust Tu Huang or not. Judging from the current situation, not only did this woman not harm him, but she even gave him an illusion night pearl which could temporarily suppress Xing Huan's recovery of his cultivation base. However, is a temporary display of goodwill really good? Or perhaps, this woman is more scheming than others. Looking at the 3 treasure chests, Ning Fan hesitated for the first time. His hesitation was about the first and third treasure chests. As for the second treasure chest, he completely ignored it. The impression that the Great Humble Clan gave Ning Fan was that it was full of illusions and deceptions. It was a truth that appeared calm on the surface but was terrifyingly deep inside. After thinking about it for a long time, Ning Fan still could not completely trust Tu Huang. Thus, he chose to partially trust Tu Huang and did not plan to choose the blood exchange token. Even though the blood exchange token had great benefits, it certainly had its disadvantages. Compared to the blood exchange token, which could forcibly increase one's cultivation base, Ning Fan preferred to believe in the cultivation base that he obtained through arduous cultivation step by step. Have you made your choice? The ancient voice reverberated between heaven and earth and asked. I choose the first treasure chest. Ning Fan answered indifferently. All of a sudden, discussions broke out everywhere. Each of the immortals and Buddhas on the high platform had an interesting expression on their faces. Even the 5 emperors of the middle state were no exception. The 5 emperors of the middle state firmly believed that Ning Fan did not understand the value of the wooden token. That was why he did not choose it. It was not strange for a mere external cultivator to not know the greatest secret of the Great Humble Clan and the existence of the blood exchange token. However, even if he did not choose the third chest, he should have chosen the second chest. In the hearts of most people, the second chest was far more valuable than the first chest. Innate magic treasures were things that even immortal emperors regarded as important as their lives. The golden lotus root of fortune, on the other hand, was only sought after by experts below the immortal emperor realm. The difference between the two was obvious. Why was there a need to consider? However, Ning Fan actually did not choose the innate magic treasure but the golden lotus root of fortune. His intelligence is really unparalleled. A large group of people of the Great Humble Clan who were not very smart were secretly laughing at Ning Fan's stupidity. Emperor Lu Tuo, on the other hand, did not hide the disdain in his heart at all. He burst into laughter. Of course, his laughter was mocking Ning Fan. His heart also felt much better because of Ning Fan's choice. Whether Ning Fan chose the blood exchange token or the innate magic treasure, it would make him jealous to death. However, if Ning Fan chose the golden lotus root of fortune, it would make him feel much better. This young man has made a wrong choice. Ning Fan did not bother to pay attention to the ridicule of the others. If those people knew that he had the mid-grade innate water realm bottle and even the heaven-opening treasure, they would not make fun of him anymore. Since he was at a different height, the scenery he saw would naturally be different as well. There was no need for him to explain anything to mediocre people. To him, the golden lotus root of fortune was the most practical item. At least, it was the most practical item he had at his current stage. As for the growth of his cultivation base in the future, would he still need to worry about not having innate magic treasures to use? In his life of cultivation, he had never lacked magic treasures. If he lacked magic treasures, he would snatch them. After he obtained the golden lotus root of fortune, the other 2 chests disappeared together with the ancient voice as if they had never existed. As the reward given by the sacred ancestor ended, the trial of strength was also considered to have officially come to an end. Looking at the score of over 40,000 on the scoreboard, Ning Fan smiled faintly. He had already obtained such a high score in the trial of strength. As long as his performance in the trial of illusion is not too bad, it should be enough for him to squeeze into the top 3. It would not be difficult for him to obtain the South Sea spring water. After that, he could use the South Sea spring water to exchange for the information that the 100 Flowers Empress mentioned. After Ning Fan left the stage, the storm calmed down. Only then did some of the experts of the Great Humble Clan remember that Ning Fan seemed to have even killed the examiners of the trial of strength. It seemed like they had yet to pursue this matter. However, because of the reward given by the sacred ancestor, everyone's attention was attracted by the reward given by the sacred ancestor, causing them to forget about the punishment. The rules of the second round of the mausoleum seizing competition naturally did not state that the participants could not kill the examiners. However, this rule seemed to be common sense. No one would kill an examiner, right? A few of Lu Tuo's disciples whispered to Emperor Lu Tuo as if they were reminding him. Emperor Lu Tuo nodded his head. Just as he was about to find an excuse to give Ning Fan some trouble, Emperor Tian Du spoke first. The trial of strength has already ended. You don't have to mention these trivial matters anymore. As soon as he said that, Emperor Lu Tuo's expression naturally darkened. It would not be good for him to find trouble with Ning Fan anymore. Inwardly, he was even more certain that Emperor Tiandu had a close relationship with Ning Fan. Luckily, Emperor Lu Tuo was very confident in his disciple Sha Bailu. He firmly believed that Sha Bailu could kill Ning Fan in the trial of illusion. As soon as he thought of that, his expression turned better. Just by looking at the results, Ning Fan's result in the trial of strength was very heaven-defying. However, in the eyes of those with discerning eyes, Ning Fan just knew some kind of secret technique to recover the strength of his physical body. That was why his endurance was better than others in a battle of physical strength. Endurance did not mean combat power. Many duels would end in a very short period of time. The duels that really tested one's endurance were usually when both parties were on par with each other and it was hard to tell who would win. Emperor Lu Tuo deeply understood that once his disciple goes all out, he could even kill a second tribulation immortal venerable. Putting aside the fact that Ning Fan was not in his peak condition, even if his cultivation base was not sealed, Emperor Lu Tuo did not think that Ning Fan could survive from Sha Bailu's hands with some small tricks. As soon as he thought that Ning Fan would die, Emperor Lu Tuo's anger from the destruction of his fire spirit finally subsided a little. Unfortunately, before his mood could improve, Buddha Sab Emperor's neutral voice made his face turn gloomy again. "Don't forget about our bet. That half of your fierce jade beast has been lost to me. Why don't you hand it over to me after this matter is over? You can't go back on your words." Buddha Sab Emperor said with a smug smile. "Humph. Don't worry. I'm willing to accept my loss. After this matter is over, I will naturally fulfill my promise." Emperor Lu Tuo gritted his teeth and said, inwardly he had already blamed Ning Fan for losing the half of his fierce jade fire spirit. If it wasn't because this young man's performance was too good, how could he possibly lose? Hateful brat. You won't be able to jump around for long. Corpse Devil is already dead. Since that's the case, I will overstep my authority and preside over the illusory trials. The illusory trials need to be carried out in groups of 3. I will give you the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the groups that fail to form 3 groups will be disqualified from participating in the illusory trials. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, I will open the gate of sealed realms that leads to the illusory trials. Emperor Tiandu's voice resounded in this place. Chapter 1037. The trial of illusion was held in the forbidden area of the Great Brightness Temple, the Fire Spirit Tower. There were a total of 108 grasslands in the Great Humble Tribe. In the depths of each grassland, there was a seal of 2 realms that was used to suppress the Fire Spirit race. The seal of 2 realms was used to suppress the Fire Spirit race. It was a place where even immortal emperors would die if they accidentally entered it. Ning Fan was once captured by the Tri-Flame Devil Sun Mengzhen to the seal of 2 realms. Initially, Mengzhen wanted to throw Ning Fan into the seal of 2 realms and burn him to death. In the end, he fell into the seal of 2 realms and died. The terror of the seal of 2 realms was deeply engraved in Ning Fan's mind at that time, causing him to completely give up on exploring this secret place. Of course, Ning Fan was more afraid of the saint's ominous intent in the deepest part of the seal of 2 realms. The murderous intent of a saint had been passed down since the start of time. It could kill immortal emperors as if they were ants. Because of this, the murderous intent in the depths of the 2-world seal would kill anyone who dared to trespass. This was the reason why the Fire Spirit tribe was unable to escape from underground and come to the surface for generations. Eternal suppression. There was also a seal of 2 realms under the grassland of the Middle State. It was located under Lioli City. However, the situation was different from the other grasslands. For some unknown reason, the flame in the seal of 2 realms in the grassland of the Middle State was extinguished when it was first discovered. There was no ominous intent of the saint in the deepest part of the seal of 2 realms. As for the passage to the Fire Spirit world, it was destroyed by someone using a great divine ability. What was even more strange was that there was a strange stone tower in the deepest part of the seal of 2 realms. This tower was called the Fire Spirit Tower by the experts of the Middle State. The terrain in the tower was intricate and complicated. For some unknown reason, the tower was filled with extremely terrifying illusory power. The scenery in the tower was both real and fake. Those who did not have a high attainment in illusory techniques would most likely die inside. Because this tower was extremely dangerous, it was sealed by many experts of the Great Brightness Temple when it was first discovered. In the end, it became a forbidden area of the Great Brightness Temple. However, even though the Fire Spirit Tower was filled with dangers, it was a treasure land for fire cultivators. There were 6 floors in the tower. The fire elemental energy of the first floor was equivalent to 2 times that of the outside world. The second floor was 4 times that of the second floor, the third floor was 8 times that of the outside world, and so on. The fire elemental energy of the 6th floor was 64 times that of the outside world. If he were to cultivate fire elemental cultivation techniques and divine abilities in the Fire Soul Tower, his speed would naturally be extremely fast. In this way, some of the strong people from the Central State who were confident in their strength would often request the Great Light Temple to enter the Fire Spirit Tower to cultivate in seclusion. Before the second round of seizing the mausoleum began, there were still many strong cultivators in seclusion within the Fire Spirit Pagoda. However, because the second round of seizing the mausoleum, the trial of illusion, required the use of this forbidden land, the strong cultivators in seclusion within the pagoda had already been cleared out. Only after the second round of seizing the mausoleum had ended would they be able to return here to seclude themselves. The rules of the fantasy trial required the 3 tribes to form a team and participate together. At this stage, every tribe would be given a special map of the Fire Soul Tower. The sceneries marked on the map were all gray, but if the participants held the map and walked around the Fire Soul Tower, the places they passed by would be lit up and displayed on the map. The final result of the illusory test was related to the number of lit maps. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the map in his hand. This was the map that the monks of the Great Light Temple had just given him. It was a specially made magical item. With a thought from Ning Fan, the words and pictures on the leather scroll immediately changed. At first, the map of the first floor of the Fire Soul Tower was all gray. With a thought, the leather scroll turned into the map of the second floor, the third floor, and the 6th floor. Of course, all of them were gray and had not been lit up yet. The illusory test requires 3 tribes to form a team and explore the Fire Soul Tower together to light up the map. Every time the participants took a step forward in the Fire Soul Tower, the corresponding gray part on the map would light up a little and emit white light, indicating that the participant had been to that place. Finally, the final result of the illusory test will be determined according to the size of the lit map. If it was in the first floor of the Fire Soul Tower, for every 1 li of the map that was lit up, you will get 2 points. If it was in the second floor, 1 li of the map will get 4 points, the third floor will get 8 points, and so on. This is because the higher the floor of the Fire Soul Tower, the higher the risk and the higher the score will naturally be. When the tribes form a team, the map will be shared to a certain extent. The tribes in the team can work together and move forward together. They can also separate and light up the map separately. If the map that was lit up by the first tribe is not lit up by the second tribe, they can choose to share it and get half of the points of the lit area. If you snatch the map of another tribe, you can completely obtain the lit area of the other tribe. In other words, the illusory test encourages snatching between tribes. In this test, killing is not a crime. If you can't form a team within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, you won't be able to participate in the illusory test and will be considered to have withdrawn from the trial. Ning Fan kept the map and scanned the surroundings with his eyes. The formation of teams had just begun, but some tribes had already formed their own teams. Obviously, they had discussed it beforehand. Some tribes also formed their teams at the last minute and were busy looking for teammates. Because of the convenience of sharing the map, many tribes first considered the strength of their teammates and whether they could be of help to their own tribe. Ning Fan's result in the forceful test indirectly reflected his strength. Even though he was the only representative of the Towerwood tribe, he was still regarded as a strong ally by most of the tribes. Unfortunately, Ning Fan had offended Great Emperor Lu Tua. Considering this point, there were only a few tribes who really requested to form a team with Ning Fan. Those who requested to form a team with him were basically the helpers invited by the 100 Flowers Emperor. Among these helpers, the strongest one was undoubtedly the Sea Shaman tribe. I'm Wu Yen, the Witch of the Sea Shaman tribe. Just like Brother Ning, I'm working for Lord 100 Flowers. I wonder if Ning Fan is willing to form a team with me? Wu Yen said smilingly and approached Ning Fan. Ning Fan glanced at her indifferently and nodded, agreeing to her request. Since Wu Yen dared to claim that she was working for the 100 Flowers Emperor in public, it was impossible for her to be false. He did not have to worry about her having ulterior motives if he forms a team with her. After all, their goal was the same, which was to win the South Sea spring water for the 100 Flowers Emperor. Ning Fan's indifference surprised Wu Yen. This external cultivator with the surname Ning seemed to be unmoved by her beauty. One should know that the beauty of the Witch of the Sea Shaman tribe was quite famous in the entire Great Humble tribe. Even those immortal King Realm old monsters would linger for a while when they look at her. However, Ning Fan turned a blind eye to it. He's really a man with a heart of stone. It's my honor to be able to form a team with Brother Ning. However, I have to make this clear. If the Sha Bai Lu building comes to us during the illusory test, I won't help you. I believe that with Brother Ning's strength, you should be able to handle this matter on your own. It doesn't matter. You and I will form a team. We just need to share the lit area. As for the other matters, we won't help each other. Ning Fan said disapprovingly. He could see through Wu Yen very clearly. She had a strong desire for fame. If his results in the forceful test were not good, she would certainly not take a fancy to him and ask him to form a team. Even if she asked him to form a team now, she would certainly not be willing to get involved in the dispute between him and the Sha Bai Lu building. To put it bluntly, if there are benefits, she would be willing to share them with Ning Fan. If there are difficulties, she would definitely run away faster than anyone else. Seeing that Ning Fan agreed without hesitation, Wu Yen was naturally very satisfied. Both of them stretched out their thumbs and pressed on the red mud on each other's map. With that, their maps were connected by a contract and could be shared. The illusory test requires 3 tribes to go together. We still lack a helper. I wonder if Brother Ning has any suggestions for the remaining helper? Wu Yen originally planned to form a team with Ning Fan and then find an immortal Venerable Realm tribe to form a team with. Of course, she would not consider the Sha Bai Lu. She wanted to invite one of Hong Zong and Sherdang. Unexpectedly, Hong Zong actually teamed up with Sha Bai Lu. As for Sherdang, he formed a team with 2 Broken Thought tribes and rejected Wu Yan's invitation with extreme arrogance. In that case, Wu Yen could only choose one of the many Broken Thought tribes to invite. There were a few good ones in the Broken Thought tribe. However, she still needed to consider Ning Fan's opinion on which one to invite as her helper. Wu Yen was not a person who would make decisions on her own. It doesn't matter. Fellow Taoist Wu, you can just invite as you see fit. I have no objections. Just as Ning Fan's voice faded, noises were heard from the Illusory Sea Tribe's team. Judging from the situation, it was the leader of the Illusory Sea Tribe, a mid-thought-breaking realm man with a knife scar. He was quarreling with his Dao companion. The scarred man's Dao companion was naturally Tu Huang, who had a pseudonym of Green Spirit. Listening to the content of the quarrel, it turned out that Tu Huang had casually mentioned, "Why don't we team up with the Tower Wood tribe?" As a result, he was reprimanded by the scarred man. It was no wonder that the scarred man would fly into a rage out of humiliation. He had already suspected that his little wife was having an affair with Ning Fan. Today, his little wife actually proposed to team up with Ning Fan of the Tower Wood tribe. She was simply treating him, her husband, as a mere decoration. This was a blatant cheating on him. Little girl, do you really lack men this much? Could it be that my spear can't satisfy your needs? What's so good about being an external cultivator? Just by looking at his physique, I can tell that he's not that good in bed. How can he be compared to me? Being ordered around like a little girl by a Broken Thought Junior, Tu Huang's heart was filled with killing intent. However, he quickly suppressed it. Good. Very good. It seems like I've been pampering you too much recently and you've forgotten your identity. You're just my human cauldron. You're a human cauldron that I bought from a brothel. You're just a piece of trash who can sleep with 1,000 people. If it weren't for me, you would still be living like a dog. I've given you a new life, but you actually want to betray me. Tu Huang lowered his head timidly on the surface. However, his heart was filled with killing intent. A pair of slender arms that can sleep with 1,000 people. Ning Fan could not help but wipe his sweat for that scarred man who acted recklessly. That scarred man was probably addicted to scolding Ning Fan. He kept on scolding Ning Fan endlessly, completely forgetting about the important matter of forming a team. Gradually, the time it takes for an incense stick to burn was almost up. Other than the Mirage Sea tribe, all the other tribes had already formed their teams in groups of 3. Those who had yet to form their teams were only Ning Fan, Wu Yen and the noisy Mirage Sea tribe. Brother Ning seems to like the Mirage Sea tribe a lot. Wu Yen looked at the farce of the Mirage Sea tribe with deep meaning. Could it be that Ning Fan really had an affair with that woman called Qing Ling? Judging from her appearance, that Qing Ling could only be considered to be slightly good-looking. She could not be compared to my beauty at all. However, Ning Fan was actually indifferent to my beauty. Instead, he was interested in that silly little girl. His taste is really unique. Out of this consideration, Wu Yen did not invite anyone else to join her team. Instead, she waited for Ning Fan's decision. In her opinion, Ning Fan most likely wanted to form a team with the Mirage Sea tribe. She did not mind doing Ning Fan a favor and forming a team with the Mirage Sea tribe. Moreover, the Mirage Sea tribe was not considered as a strong tribe. Their attainments in the Tao of illusion techniques were much higher than many other powerful tribes. In that case, forming a team with the Mirage Sea tribe was not really disadvantageous. Ning Fan did not comment on Wu Yan's words. He just silently watched the couple drama of the Mirage Sea tribe. Time flew. After the scarred man reprimanded his wife harshly, he regretfully realized that there was not much time left to form a team. Moreover, the tribes that had yet to form a team were actually only the Mirage Sea tribe, the TMU tribe and the Sea Shaman tribe. He actually had no other choice but to form a team with Ning Fan. Otherwise, once the time it takes for an incense stick to burn is up, the Mirage Sea tribe would lose the qualification to participate in the trial of illusion. Damn it. I can only form a team with that external cultivator. I wonder if those influential figures are willing to form a team with us. Actually, the scarred man only dared to be rude to his own people. Even though he was fierce to his wife, it did not mean that he was a fool who dared to provoke old monsters like Ning Fan and Wu Yen in public. After watching Ning Fan's experience in the trial of force, he would be a pig if he still dared to provoke Ning Fan. Thus, when Wu Yen proposed to form a team with the Mirage Sea tribe, the scarred man thanked her with great respect and greeted Ning Fan politely. On the surface, he appeared to be simple and honest, as if he did not know that Ning Fan and Tu Huang were exchanging glances with each other. Even though he was angry at his wife for having an affair, on second thought, it did not seem to be a loss for the weak Mirage Sea tribe to form a team with the powerful Sea Shaman tribe and the TAMU tribe. If it could allow the tribe to achieve better results, then losing an insignificant little girl would be a loss. The scarred man gritted his teeth and secretly made a decision in his mind. If the woman and that external cultivator with the surname Ning are secretly having an affair during the process of forming a team, then let her be. Based on the woman's flirtatious behavior, she would probably go and flirt with that external cultivator with the surname Ning once the team is formed. He would just pretend that he did not see it. Just as the scarred man had expected, as soon as they formed a team, Tu Huang went to talk to Ning Fan as if there was no one else around after they left their red fingerprints on the map of each tribe. Of course, it was a conversation using telepathy. Only her lips could be seen moving, but no one could hear what she said to Ning Fan. The scarred man only felt that his head was oily green. However, he could only sigh helplessly as he did not dare to get angry at Ning Fan. On the viewing platform, Ouyang Nuan and Zhang Yu expressed that they had seen too many incidents of Ning Fan flirting with women. However, they were surprised that Ning Fan did not even let go of someone's wife. It seemed to be the first time. Ning Fan, who did not know that he had been misunderstood, was still communicating with Tu Huang through telepathy. His expression was rather solemn because Tu Huang told him a piece of news. "Young man, you have to be careful in the illusory trial this time. Lu Tuo's disciple is not the only one who wants to kill you. According to the information that my spy in the Three Flames sent, there will be people from the Three Flames who will come to kill you this time. I heard that it's the senior of that Devil's Son Meng Zhen." "Devil's Son Meng Zhen Senior?" Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly grim. That Devil's Son Meng Zhen was already an ancient immortal venerable expert. His senior would at least be at the immortal king realm or even an immortal emperor realm. He was already mentally prepared for the revenge of the Three Flames. After all, he had killed the dignified Devil's Son of the Stone Flame. Ning Fan did not believe that there would not be any revenge. However, he did not expect that the revenge would come at such a time during the illusory trial. "However, you don't have to worry. As long as you can fulfill my requirements in this illusory trial, I will naturally protect you as a reward. The Meng clan isn't the strongest clan in the Stone Flame Pagoda. Even if the master of the Stone Flame Pagoda comes here personally, he won't be able to do anything to you even if I want to protect you, let alone the members of the Meng clan." Tu Huang said in an extremely conceited manner. His expression was filled with a sense of arrogance. "I have yet to thank you for the Illusion Night Pearl. If you say that you don't have any other request for this item, I definitely won't believe it. You have appeared in front of me several times. I wonder what is it that you want? I want to know if you are a friend or foe so that I can tell you clearly. I have a request for you. Of course, I don't have any evil intentions. This matter is not urgent. I will tell you later. However, I can guarantee that this matter will also bring you great benefits. Oh yeah, there's one more thing that I need your help with. After entering the Fire Soul Tower, I will have to mobilize all my cultivation base to complete something. During this period of time, this physical body of mine won't be able to use any of its cultivation base and will be in an extremely weak state. When that time comes, you have to protect me well. Don't let this body of mine die miserably in the Fire Soul Tower. If that's the case, I'm afraid all my efforts in this trip to the Fire Soul Tower will be wasted. Don't worry, Mississippi. When your cultivation base is limited, I will certainly protect you." For the time being, it seemed that Tu Huang did not have any hostility towards him. Thus, Ning Fan treated him politely. Naturally, he was still wary of him. At the same time, he was also very curious about what exactly Tu Huang wanted from him. Perhaps it was related to the existence of this Fire Soul Tower? Soon the incense stick burned out. The Heaven Emperor opened a door of light at the center of the public square. Under the guidance of the monks of the Brightness Temple, the tribes that had formed their groups entered the door of light in groups of 3. The rocky ground of the middle state was extremely hard. It was very difficult to reach the seal of 2 realms that was located deep underground with the earth escape divine ability. This door of light could directly reach the Fire Soul Tower of the Seal of 2 Realms. Soon, Ning Fan and his group also entered the door of light. Together with Tu Huang, Wu Yen and the others, they were randomly teleported to a certain area on the first floor of the Fire Soul Tower. What greeted them was the fire elemental power that was twice as dense as the outside world. This Fire Soul Tower was truly a treasure land for fire cultivators to cultivate in. If it wasn't for the illusory trial, Ning Fan would be very willing to cultivate diligently in this place. It would certainly be beneficial for Feng Yinyang's cultivation to reach a higher level by condensing some Fire Dao fierce elemental crystals. Forget it. Important matters are more important. I can only put aside my cultivation for the time being. Ning Fan looked at the gray map. As they stepped into this place, a gray area on the map was randomly lit up and emitted a white light. The name of the area that was lit up was Illusory Bamboo Forest? Ning Fan looked at his surroundings. They were surrounded by collapsed and abandoned temples. When he looked to the west, he could see large patches of vigorous purple bamboos that were as tall as the sky. However, the bamboo forest was filled with yin qi. Sounds of ghosts wailing could be heard and the roars of beasts could be heard from time to time. Each of them carried the aura of an immortal king. Hiss? Our group's luck is really bad. We were actually randomly teleported to the third area of the first floor of the Fire Soul Tower, the illusory bamboo forest. According to the introduction of the map, the guardian of this bamboo forest is at the Immortal King realm. It will attack anyone who tries to enter the bamboo forest. The illusory bamboo forest covers an area of 100 li. If we can activate the map of this place, we will be able to obtain a lot of points. Besides, according to the map, there are many ancient pills hidden in the depths of this forest. Unfortunately, this place is too dangerous. Obviously, it's not a place that we can enter. Wu Yan looked at the map and then looked at the purple bamboo forest in the west. She shook her head regretfully. The Fire Soul Tower was very strange. Before the second round of the Mausoleum seizing competition began, the heaven and earth inside the tower would completely collapse and then be reborn. It could be said that the opening of the second round of the Mausoleum seizing competition was the beginning of creation and destruction inside the tower. The reborn heaven and earth would be an extremely unfamiliar environment to anyone who enters it. Even though Wu Yan had entered the Fire Soul Tower more than 10 times during the non-Mausoleum seizing competition, she still felt that this place had changed beyond recognition when she looked at it now. It was extremely unfamiliar. Without the introduction of the map, she would not even know where she was standing right now. The roar of the Immortal King Realm beast gave Wu Yan a great sense of danger. Thus, she did not plan to enter the depths of the illusory bamboo forest at all. After activating the map, she could go to other places. There was no need for her to risk her life just for the points of 100 li of land here. Not only Wu Yan, but also the experts of the Sea Witch tribe and the illusory sea tribe were all frightened when they heard the roar of the Immortal King Realm beast. Each of them just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. The commotion continued. None of them had the calmness of an immortal cultivator. Wasning Fan, on the other hand, did not have the intention to leave this place in a hurry. Even though the map stated that this place was dangerous, as he activated the illusory breaking ability of his Fu Li demon eyes, the bamboo forest in his eyes was like a mirage that was disappearing bit by bit. Gradually, the illusory bamboo forest in his eyes no longer existed. Instead, it had become something else. The so-called illusory bamboo forest was fake. The dangers recorded on the map did not exist at all. Even though Wu Yan and the others could not see through this with their attainments in illusion techniques, they could not hide it from Ning Fan's eyes. This place, just as Ning Fan was muttering to himself, a fragrant breeze blew against his face. First, it was the other party's black hair that brushed past his face. Then, he felt something soft in his arms. Both of Tu Huang's legs became weak. As if he could not stand steadily, he directly fell into Ning Fan's arms. Tu Huang's ears immediately turned red. Inwardly, he was secretly shocked. The power of creation and destruction in this Fire Soul Tower seemed to be suppressing her even more than before. Being caught off guard, her entire body went limp and she did not even have the strength to stand up. A pair of plump breasts pressed against Ning Fan's chest. No matter how decisive Sovereign Butcher was in killing, she was still a woman after all. Thus, she felt a little embarrassed by this kind of body contact. She wanted to break free from Ning Fan's embrace and stand up, but she did not have the strength to stand firmly. She could not help but feel a headache. Just now, you only said that I can't mobilize my cultivation base. But you didn't say that I can't even stand properly. Ning Fan felt speechless and transmitted his voice to her. The beauty in his arms was like a hot potato. He did not know whether to throw her away or hug her. This body was soft and fragrant, but in reality, it was a peerless, malevolent star. I have miscalculated. The power of this pagoda is much stronger than before. Forget it. Right now, I don't have any strength left in my body. You might as well carry me and move forward. Tu Huang was rather straightforward. It was as if carrying him was just a small matter and he wouldn't lose any flesh or skin. Ning Fan was speechless. What? Unwilling? He didn't even dare to hug a woman who had delivered herself to his doorstep? You weren't this timid when you used your charm on me that day. Why don't you find your Tao companion? Isn't it better to let him carry you? He, don't mention the word Tao companion in front of me. I'm already at the limit of my patience. I'm just worried that I won't be able to hold it in any longer and will massacre the entire illusory sea tribe. If that really happens, I would be going against the promise I made with Supreme Ox Ghost. I see. So it's because of the promise that you made earlier. That's why you're holding back your killing intent. Supreme Ox Ghost. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed slightly. How about this? I can't even stand properly now, let alone walk. Brat, you're a little tired. Carry me and walk for a while. In return, if you encounter an illusion formation that you can't dispel, I will give you some pointers regarding illusion techniques. What do you think? Pointers regarding illusion techniques? Ning Fan would certainly not reject the fact that he could receive pointers from a palm illusion great emperor. At that moment, he no longer felt that the soft body in his arms was a hot potato. Moreover, with Tu Huang in his arms, he was not afraid that he would change his mind. With such close physical contact, it would be a piece of cake for him to use his bewitching technique to deal with Tu Huang. No matter how strong Tu Huang was, with his bewitching technique, he was not completely powerless against him. At least, it would be enough to deal with the worst-case scenario. Thinking about it more deeply, perhaps Tu Huang asked him to carry her to make him feel at ease and believe that she did not have any ill intentions. With that thought in mind, Ning Fan's eyes brightened. Then, he directly carried Tu Huang in his arms under everyone's excited expressions. As for Tu Huang, he looked at Ning Fan meaningfully. Then he wrapped his arms around Ning Fan's neck and nestled his small face in his chest. In the eyes of others, he was as shy as he could be. However, in reality, he no longer felt shy at all. Thus, he quickly got used to everything. The members of the Sea Witch tribe were speechless. This outsider with the surname Ning is so audacious. How dare he hug his teammate's wife in public? Isn't he afraid that his teammates will turn against him? Hugging him so eagerly without leaving any face for the members of the illusory Sea tribe. The members of the illusory Sea tribe were also silent. Each of them was staring at the scarred man. Some of them were sympathetic, some of them were angry, some of them were mocking him, and some of them were gloating over his misfortune. Their expressions varied according to whether their relationship with the scarred man was good or bad. The scarred man felt that his head was already covered with lush green lettuce. However, he was obviously already mentally prepared for it. He chuckled in a simple and honest manner and did not mind it at all. It seems like I've gained the bad reputation of seizing someone's wife for no reason. Ning Fan was a little speechless. He knew that Tu Huang was actually not the scarred man's Tao companion. Hugging Tu Huang was not really a heinous crime. However, he could not explain all of this to anyone. Since he could not explain it, he decided not to. Thus, Ning Fan hugged the beauty without any change in his expression. Tu Huang, on the other hand, simply nestled in Ning Fan's arms and secretly spread out his spirit sense, doing some kind of in-depth investigation of this fire soul tower. Since the person who was cuckolded did not say anything, Wu Yen naturally would not blame Ning Fan for anything. She was still smiling and said to Ning Fan, "I think that this place is too dangerous. Why don't we leave this place earlier and head to other places? What do you think, Brother Ning? Dangerous, huh? How about this? Let's split up and illuminate the map. I want to stay here and study the illusory formation of this illusory bamboo forest. All of you can leave first. What do you think?" "All right. Since that's the case, my Sea Shaman tribe will part ways with Brother Ning here. I hope that Brother Ning won't stay here for too long and illuminate more maps as soon as possible. That's the right thing to do." Seeing that Ning Fan seemed like he really wanted to stay here for a while, Wu Yen did not say anything else. It was better for them to split up. If Sha Bai Lu comes to them, she would stay far away from them. There was no need for her to get involved. As long as she could share Ning Fan's results of the illusory test, it would be good. If that's the case, my illusory sea tribe will leave with Lord Wu Yen. The scarred man decided to bring the illusory sea tribe along with Wu Yen. As for his little wife, I'll let Ning Fan take advantage of her. I'll just find a new one. After they split up, only Ning Fan and Tu Huang were left in this place. Ning Fan took a deep look at the illusory bamboo forest in front of him. Then he suddenly carried Tu Huang and walked towards the depths of the bamboo forest. There seemed to be some kind of qi in the depths of the bamboo forest that was attracting his Fu Li blood to move forward. Chapter 1038. The bamboo forest in front of him stretched for hundreds of miles. It was like a vast sea of bamboo. Ning Fan had been to the sea of bamboos in the tree world before, and he had left behind some memories there. Now that he was reminded of the past, he could not help but reminisce about it. The hollow bamboo contained a soul. The root of the soul was in the heart of the bamboo. The root of the soul and the heart of the bamboo were inseparable. I wonder how the old tree spirit, Mu Luo, is doing after he reunited with his old lover. Are my relatives and friends in the rain world doing well now? Has my mother awakened? Has the Dao fruit planted by my master ripened? Shaking his head, Ning Fan put away the distracting thoughts in his mind. He slowly moved forward in the bamboo forest while carefully observing the changes in the surrounding sea of bamboos. With his Fu Li illusion breaking innate skill, it was more than enough to see through the illusion layout of this place. There were no immortal king illusory beasts here. It was even to the extent that the sea of bamboo before them was fake and did not exist. Being outside of the bamboo forest, he thought that he could easily see through the illusions of the bamboo ocean with his Fu Li talent. However, once they stepped into the bamboo forest, it was a completely different feeling. The illusory sea of bamboo suddenly gave off an extremely realistic feeling. Now that he was on Mount Lu, he could not see through the sea of bamboos anymore. Gradually, Ning Fan's expression turned solemn. He had clearly walked in the bamboo forest for a long time, but for some reason, he felt like he was walking on the spot. It was as if with every step he took, the entire bamboo forest would move with him. He had a feeling that he had seen through the illusion of the bamboo sea, but after he saw through it, he would helplessly find that he was still in another layer of illusion. No, it wasn't just an illusion. He was really just making no progress. Ning Fan looked at the map on the leather scroll and found out that there were only a few lit areas on the map. This meant that he seemed to have walked very far in the bamboo forest, but in fact, he was just walking on the same spot. The time it takes for an incense stick to burn had passed. The time it takes for 2 incense sticks to burn had passed. Ning Fan walked around in circles. Somehow, he managed to get out of the bamboo forest and returned to his original spot. Only then did he realize how powerful this bamboo forest's illusion technique was. This bamboo forest illusion technique doesn't seem to be as simple as I thought. Ning Fan thought to himself. Sovereign Tu was a little speechless. He then said to Ning Fan, "All right, young man. Put me down. You have been walking around in circles for 1 hour. Even though the trial of illusion will last for 1 whole month, you shouldn't waste your time like this. Forget it, after such a long time, I've already adapted to the suppressive force here and can walk freely." As soon as he finished speaking, Tu Huang twisted his slender waist and jumped down from Ning Fan's embrace. He landed on the ground and stretched his slightly numb body. After that, he stared at Ning Fan with a strange expression. Stare. 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 Ning Fan felt a little uncomfortable being stared at. He asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" "I'm looking at a freak, the most mystical freak in the world." Tu Huang answered with a deadpan expression. "Freak? Are you talking about me? What do you mean? Tell me, if there is such a person in the world, who is a genius in illusions who can even ignore the great illusions like the 5-finger illusion, but is stumped by the entry-level, lower-grade great mystery illusionary technique, is this person a freak? What's the 5-finger illusion? And what's the great mystery illusionary technique?" Ning Fan asked. "That's not the main point. The main point is that you obviously have a great talent in illusions, but you don't seem to have learned illusions systematically. Am I right?" I really haven't learned illusions systematically. You have a good eye." Ning Fan nodded his head. "Good eye? You don't need to have a good eye to see through this. I'm afraid any first-grade Immortal Emperor Realm Illusion Master would be able to see that your foundation in illusions is very shallow. I've observed your method of breaking illusions, and it seems like you only know how to break illusions forcefully. You don't even know the most basic, attack the illusion while concealing the real, and defend the illusion while setting up the illusion, let alone life illusion, death illusion, and mysterious 8,000 illusions. You only know how to wander aimlessly in the bamboo forest. That won't work. Indeed, your talent in illusions is very high. With your talent in illusions, it's not difficult for you to break ordinary illusions by force. However, you should know that most of the illusions in the Fire Soul Tower are the famous great mystery illusions from the ancient times. If you don't understand the profound principles of illusions, you won't be able to break these ancient illusions unless your cultivation base is far beyond the creator of the formations. Do you really think that no one in the Sea Shaman tribe and the illusory Sea tribe can see through the real situation in the illusory bamboo forest? Do all of them really leave in a hurry because they are afraid of the beast roars of the fake immortal kings? I don't know about the others, but there must be a few people in the illusory Sea tribe who can see through the truth of the illusions in this place. After all, there is the only copy of the mysterious 8,000 illusions in the illusory Sea tribe. There must be people who can see through the existence of the mysterious great mystery illusions in this place. That's why they decisively gave up on this place and chose to light up the map of other places. Attack the illusion while concealing the real, defend the illusion while setting up the illusion while setting up the illusion, life illusion, death illusion. Ning Fan had only heard of these terms in the ancient books in the past. He did not know what they were referring to. There were too few illusion masters in the four heavens, and the inheritance of illusions that had been passed down from generation to generation was even less. These terms seemed to be extremely profound knowledge of illusions. It was not strange that Ning Fan did not know about them. The demon race, on the other hand, was extremely good at illusions. There were a lot of ancient illusions that had been passed down from generation to generation. Unfortunately, Ning Fan had never been to the heavenly demon world in the upper world. If he had gone there, it was highly possible for him to learn the knowledge of these illusions. As for the so-called mysterious 8,000 illusions, Ning Fan was sure that it was definitely his first time hearing about it. Ning Fan was well aware that the reason why Sovereign Tu had said so much was probably to give him some advice. Of course, he would not give up this opportunity to learn. After all, it was the great emperor of the illusory Palm realm who was guiding him in illusions. If he could exchange this opportunity to learn, Ning Fan believed that there were many old monsters in the world who would be willing to spend their entire fortune just to listen to the teachings of the illusory Palm realm's great emperor. Senior, are you saying that the illusions in this bamboo forest are not ordinary illusions but the mysterious great illusion technique that Senior mentioned? Ning Fan's eyes turned serious and asked. That's right. The illusions here are a type of mysterious great illusion technique. In the ancient times, there was once a strange genius in illusions in the Buddhist sect who was known as Venerable Tai Xian. His cultivation base wasn't at the peak, but his understanding of illusions was unparalleled in the world. This person collected more than 8,000 types of illusions that were the strongest in the world and compiled them into a book. After the book was completed, it was named Mysterious 8,000 Illusions. It was divided into 3 parts, the upper part, the middle part, and the lower part. The illusions recorded in the upper part are the strongest, the middle part is the second, and the lower part is the weakest. However, even the weakest mysterious great illusion technique is enough to be used as a trump card by a first-level thought fragmentation true immortal. Due to the existence of Venerable Tai Xian, the later generations even used the name Mysterious Great Illusion Technique as a general term for all powerful illusions. The Mysterious Great Illusion Technique is divided into 3 grades. The illusions in this bamboo forest are just a low-grade Mysterious Great Illusion Technique. If the cultivation base of the person who cast the technique is slightly weaker, you would be able to forcefully break this technique with your abilities and walk into the depths of the bamboo forest. Unfortunately, the person who cast the technique is the Fire Soul Tower itself. In this case, you can only hope to break this technique if you understand the illusory nature of this technique. I know that you want to enter this bamboo forest because you sense the treasures in the depths of the bamboo forest, right? How about this? Follow me and I will bring you into this bamboo forest. It still doesn't work. Even though I can already walk, I can't run too fast in some places where I need to move quickly. I can't get away from the illusory nature of this technique. Forget it. Just hold me for a while more and listen to my commands. Then, you will naturally be able to enter the depths of this bamboo forest. Tu Huang walked towards Ning Fan and said in a very calm manner, "Hold me." Ning Fan answered and carried Tu Huang in his arms once again. Due to their previous experience, the two of them did not feel too embarrassed when they carried each other in their arms this time. Instead, they were very calm. When Ning Fan carefully sniffed the fragrance of Tu Huang's body, he actually found that it was as sweet as honey. In the past, his heart was not calm, so he did not notice it. "What are you smelling?" Tu Huang knitted his brows. Even though she did not mind physical contact between men and women, she was also unwilling to be teased by Ning Fan in public. "I'm sorry." Ning Fan could not help but feel a little embarrassed when he was discovered sniffing the other party's body fragrance. "You don't have to mind it so much. If you want to smell it, it's not impossible. By the way, you don't have to keep calling me miss. You can just call me Qing Ling." Seeing that Ning Fan did not mean to tease him, Tu Huang did not mind it anymore. Instead, he teased Ning Fan. "Isn't Qing Ling your alias? Could it be your real name?" "Of course it's my real name. I'm only pretending to be this identity. My name is real." I thought your real name is Tu Huang? Which woman in this world would have such a name?" Tu Huang is just my nickname when I participate in the blood martial arena. It's the same as your nickname of the Fox of Slaughter. It doesn't have much meaning. From now on, you can just call me Qing Ling. Calling me miss is really annoying. I won't call you little brat anymore. I'll just call you by your name. After all, I need to show you some respect since I have a favor to ask of you. Alright, enough with the idle chatter. There are some changes in the chi of the illusion technique here. Move according to the direction I'm pointing at. 20 steps to the south, 11 steps to the west. Change your direction and enter the bamboo forest from this direction. Tu Huang, who was in Ning Fan's bosom, commanded. "Oh, it seems like I can't call this delicate woman Tu Huang anymore. Even if this woman kills people like flies, she would not be willing to bear such a name. Qing Ling, huh?" Ning Fan moved according to the direction Tu Huang pointed at and entered the bamboo forest. Then, under Tu Huang's command, he slowly approached the depths of the bamboo forest. 9 steps to the west, 1 step back. 2 steps to the south. Every 3 breaths of time, move slowly. 3 steps to the east, 3 steps to the west, 2 steps to the east, 2 steps to the west. Every 4 breaths of time, move slowly. 79 steps to the west, move quickly, 10 steps in 1 breath. 227 steps to the east, move quickly again, 30 steps in 1 breath. Move quickly again. Slow down. Cut off the 13th purple bamboo from the left with your palm. Move this stone. Ning Fan felt puzzled by Tu Huang's command. It was as if there was a layer of barrier that prevented him from understanding the true meaning behind it. With the beauty in his arms, his speed was sometimes as fast as a cheetah and sometimes as slow as a turtle. Sometimes he went east, sometimes he went west, and sometimes he destroyed some bamboo. After walking for an unknown period of time, the dense gaps between the bamboos in front of him suddenly opened up, revealing a large empty space. Tu Huang said, "We're here," and leaped down from Ning Fan's arms. Then he looked around with interest. Ning Fan felt the weight in his arms lighten. His hands were free now. He then took out the map and checked it. After such a short period of time, all the areas of the illusory bamboo forest on the map had been lit up. Obviously, under Tu Huang's seemingly incomprehensible command, Ning Fan had already walked through 100 li of the bamboo forest and finally arrived at the depths of the bamboo forest. In this place, the scent that attracted his Fu Li blood became even stronger. Ning Fan kept the map and looked around. Then, he raised his head and his expression suddenly froze. In the sky above the empty space, Among the fluttering bamboo leaves, there were hundreds of illusory purplish-black birds dancing gracefully. All of them were in the form of shadows. They glowed with lustrous light, and their clear and melodious chirping in the air was as ethereal as an illusion. Under the lustrous light from their wings, this place was like a dream. The air was filled with a strange fragrance that was refreshing and refreshing. In addition to the faint purple bamboos in the surroundings, the depths of the bamboo forest actually had a kind of ethereal beauty that was isolated from the rest of the world. What a beautiful place! So that's why. Is it because of the cloud blood fruit? Tu Huang stretched his body lazily and turned to Ning Fan. Young man. No, Ning Fan. Do you know why there are so many flying souls dancing in this place? Didn't you tell me that it's because of the cloud blood fruit? Do you know what the cloud blood fruit is? I don't. The cloud blood fruit is a type of innate spiritual medicine. It's a spiritual medicine unique to Maida Bay clan. Consuming this fruit raw can increase a cultivator's qi and blood to achieve the purpose of strengthening part of their physical body. This fruit is born from blood. It must have grown in the place where an immortal Emperor Realm expert had fallen. With the blood of the expert as nourishment, it gradually took shape. After that, it would absorb the essence of heaven and earth and slowly grow. When it ripens, the spiritual fruit will turn illusory and turn into illusions that fill the sky. The medicinal effect of this spiritual fruit is also different depending on the blood of the experts that are used as nourishment. Looking at the illusory flying birds in this place. No, they are not ordinary birds. These flying birds should be demons without a doubt. The evil spirits of the winged demons, the Fu Li clan. In this case, the effect of this cloud blood fruit should be to increase the qi and blood of the eyes. It can greatly enhance a cultivator's eyesight and achieve the effect of seeing through illusion techniques. Ning Fan thought to himself. Sure enough, these fluorescent birds that were dancing in various forms were the illusions of the Fu Li clan. The cloud blood fruit that grows in this place must have absorbed the nutrients from the blood of the Fu Li clan's demonic beasts. That was why it could produce these illusions. All of the flying birds in this place are transformed from the cloud blood fruit. Out of every 100 illusions, only one is real. If I want to obtain this fruit, I must capture one of the real bird shadows. Ning Fan, with your ability, you should be able to see which bird is the real one, right? Let me try. Perhaps Ning Fan's attainment in illusion techniques was just like what Tu Huang had said. His talent was extremely high, but his foundation was lacking. However, his foundation in seeing through illusion techniques was top-notch. With the Fu Li clan's innate talent in breaking illusions and the powerful heavenly being Law Eye, he easily found the real one among the hundreds of flying birds. Ning Fan's body swayed slightly, and then he stood still again as if he had never left his original spot or leaped into the air. However, he had already caught the shadow of a flying bird in his hand. The shadow of the bird that Ning Fan caught flapped its wings. When it realized that it could not escape from Ning Fan's hand, it helplessly swayed its body and turned into a glowing, white and rosy fruit. Its skin was as tender as a baby's. The cloud blood fruit is in my hands. The moment he obtained the cloud blood fruit, all the other fake bird shadows disappeared. Touching the slightly cold cloud blood fruit in his hand, Ning Fan could feel the excitement of his Fu Li bloodline. Obviously, this fruit was formed from the nourishment of the Fu Li clan's blood. To others, consuming this fruit would only increase their ability to see through illusions. To Ning Fan, however, it could also improve the quality of his Fu Li bloodline. There's no mistake. Tu Huang did not lie to me. As long as I touch this fruit, I will be able to understand the many benefits of this fruit through the senses of my bloodline. It was not that he did not think of keeping this fruit for himself. It was just that Ning Fan noticed Tu Huang's fervent expression when he looked at this fruit. He could not help but calm down and suppress the fervent desire in his bloodline. Admittedly, he had entered this place for this cloud blood fruit. It would be best if he could obtain this fruit. However, at the same time, he also understood that without Tu Huang's help, it was impossible for him to enter the depths of this bamboo forest and obtain this cloud blood fruit with his current illusory technique. This fruit should belong to Tu Huang. With my illusory technique, it's not enough for me to enter the depths of this bamboo forest. I only managed to enter this place because of your guidance. You seem to need this fruit. Take it. Ning Fan smiled faintly and shoved the cloud blood fruit to Tu Huang. The way Tu Huang looked at Ning Fan immediately became a little strange, as if it was his first time seeing such a generous person. After a slight pause, the corners of his lips curled into a smile. If it's an ordinary cloud blood fruit, I wouldn't care. However, the effect of this fruit is a little special. To me, it is also quite beneficial. However, you seem to need this fruit as well. You seem to need this fruit as well. How about this, we each eat half of it? Have each? Ning Fan was slightly surprised. This fruit can only be consumed raw. Besides, it has a disadvantage. Once it's harvested, it must be consumed within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Otherwise, it will wither rapidly and lose its effect. In my great humble clan, this fruit is known as the epiphyllum in fruits because it will die right after it's born. Let's not waste any more time. It's decided then. We'll eat half each. You eat half first and give me the rest. Tu Huang shoved the cloud blood fruit back into Ning Fan's hand without hesitation. If it wasn't because Ning Fan had inspected the fruit and found nothing unusual, he would have thought that Tu Huang had set up some kind of trap in the fruit to lure him to eat it. After secretly inspecting the fruit, Ning Fan felt sorry for his narrow-mindedness. There was nothing wrong with the fruit. In that case, I can eat half of it without any worries and let Tu Huang eat the other half. Somehow, Ning Fan imagined the scene in his mind. Tu Huang's soft lips were slightly parted while he ate the remaining fruit with relish. His attitude was so refreshing and he did not seem to mind the saliva on the fruit. I think it's better for you to eat first. After thinking about this, Ning Fan decided to let Tu Huang eat first. Tu Huang looked at Ning Fan deeply. After a while, he smiled indifferently. What a cautious young man. You're afraid that I might have done something to this fruit. That's why you want me to eat first, right? This little bit of caution is not a mistake in the cultivation world. Initially, I wanted to let you eat first so that you can eat more. Since you suspect me, I won't be polite anymore. As he thought of this, Tu Huang no longer acted courteously towards Ning Fan. In just a short while, he had eaten more than half of the fruit. He had eaten about 2/3 of it and only left 1/3 for Ning Fan. I'll leave the rest to you. Hurry up and eat. You should know that the medicinal power of this fruit is going to dissipate once the time is up. Ning Fan looked at the remaining 1/3 of the cloud blood fruit in his hand and his forehead was filled with black lines. What happened to the agreement that we will share half of the fruit? Is it really a good idea for a dignified Tu Huang, a dignified expert who has half a step into the quasi-saint realm and a dignified great emperor who controls the illusion realm to go back on his words? Forget it. After all, I only got this fruit for free because of Tu Huang's guidance. It's not bad to eat 1/3 of it for free. Ning Fan brought the fruit to his mouth and was about to bite it. All of a sudden, he noticed that there were faint traces of rouge on the edge of the fruit. He raised his head and looked at Tu Huang's lips with a strange expression. If I continue to eat it like this, I think I will eat the rouge on Tu Huang's body as well. Hurry up and eat it. After eating it, we still have important matters to attend to. Even though this illusory trial will last for a month, it will take us a lot of time just to get to the bottom of the 6th floor. Seeing that Ning Fan was hesitant to eat the fruit, Tu Huang could not help but urge him. Obviously, she mistakenly thought that Ning Fan was a timid and cautious person who did not dare to eat the fruit that she had eaten before. When she thought of that, she really wished that she could snatch the remaining 1/3 of the fruit and eat it. It was such a waste for her to be kind and share the treasures with this junior in front of her equally. However, he still kept doubting her. She really wanted to kill him to vent her anger. This woman seems to have misunderstood something. Ning Fan shook his head. He no longer cared about the rouge on the fruit and wolfed it down like a tiger. In just a few bites, he finished the remaining fruit, leaving only the core. His first impression was that this fruit was very sweet. It was the kind of sweetness that carried the taste of blood. Obviously, it was because this fruit was born from blood. That was why it had such a taste. His second impression was that the rouge on the fruit was also quite sweet. It tasted like honey. He did not know what kind of rouge Tu Huang used. It seemed like no matter how cruel a woman was, she was still a woman after all. She still knew how to put on makeup and dress up. His third impression was that the medicinal power contained in this fruit was a little too immense. Come to think of it, it made sense. This was an innate spiritual herb after all. Even though it was only 1/3 of the fruit, it was still extraordinary if he ate it raw. Seeing that Ning Fan's face was flushed red as if he had eaten too much food, Tu Huang immediately frowned. She had forgotten about this. With her half-step quasi-saint physical body, it was not a big deal for her to swallow an innate spiritual herb raw. However, to Ning Fan, it seemed to be a little too much. Sit down and meditate. Circulate your spiritual energy and absorb the medicinal power. Forget it. I have other uses for this item anyway. I'll lend it to you for the time being. Right now, I can't use my cultivation base to help you quickly absorb the medicinal power in your body. However, the will of a saint that is contained in this item is enough to speed up your absorption under the pressure. It was also Tu Huang's fault for not knowing much about Ning Fan's background. That was why he was worried that Ning Fan's life would be in danger if he had eaten too much food. Ning Fan knew his own body very well. He was already prepared to absorb the enormous medicinal power of the innate spiritual herb. If he did not have this confidence, he would not dare to eat the innate spiritual herb raw. Originally, he wanted to resolve the enormous medicinal power in his body by himself. However, when he saw the item that Tu Huang took out, he gave up on his initial plan. If he had the help of the saints will provided by Tu Huang, he would be able to speed up his absorption of the medicinal power. Of course, he would not reject such benefits. Besides, he did not want to waste too much time in this illusory bamboo forest just to absorb the medicinal power. Tu Huang opened his mouth slightly and spat out a ray of blood light. Ning Fan could not see what was inside the blood light. It was wrapped up in layers of seals. Even with his spirit sense, he could not see through the seals at all to see what it was. Even though Ning Fan could not see what it was, he could clearly feel the enormous will that was coming from it. Saint's will. In the past, Ning Fan had used the immortal sovereign's will provided by the river demon in front of the true illusion river to quickly absorb a portion of the dark time fruits and greatly improve his cultivation base. Under the assistance and pressure of the will of an expert, the speed of the circulation of one's bloodline and magic power could be accelerated. In turn, the speed of absorption of the spiritual fruits and pills could be increased. In terms of quality, the saint's will was naturally far inferior to the immortal sovereign's will. However, in terms of quantity, it was different. The immortal sovereign's will that the river demon collected from the true illusion river was extremely diluted and heterogeneous. As for the item that Tu Huang took out, the amount of the saint's will was unimaginably massive. It gave Ning Fan the illusion that he was really facing a saint. In that case, the pressure that the saint's will brought to him was even greater than the immortal sovereign's will that he encountered in the past to a certain extent. Thank you. Ning Fan sat cross-legged on the ground and thanked her while absorbing the medicinal power in his body. It's just a small matter. You don't have to take it to heart. You can totally treat my help as the bargaining chip for our deal. All right, quickly absorb the medicinal power in your body. Tu Huang pretended to be relaxed. Her delicate body was trembling slightly. In reality, she could not use a trace of her cultivation base at the moment. If she rashly used this item, it would naturally be difficult for her to resist the saint's will that was coming from the item. However, in order to save time and let Ning Fan quickly absorb the excess medicinal power in his body, she decided not to worry too much. With the help of this massive saint's will, the medicinal power of the cloud blood fruit in Ning Fan's body was completely absorbed in just a short while. After absorbing it, Ning Fan could clearly feel that his eyesight had become stronger. He could also see the illusory and real changes of the illusion technique in his surroundings more clearly than before. This was obviously the benefit that the cloud blood fruit brought to him. Of course, his Fu Li bloodline had also improved to a certain extent after consuming this fruit. Even some of the ancestral blood that he had burnt in a fit of rage in the ancient wild region had been restored. It had directly recovered to 1/10 of its original strength. Speaking of which, you haven't consumed the reward that you obtained in the blood martial arena previously, right? It's rare for me to unseal this item, so I might as well borrow the pressure of this willpower to refine all the elixirs in your body and improve your strength. It's also very beneficial for my purpose of coming here. Tu Huang's face turned slightly pale as if she could not bear the pressure of the saint's will. However, she still pretended to be calm and said, obviously, she had made up her mind to improve Ning Fan's strength in one go. Since Tu Huang had such a kind intention, Ning Fan naturally did not plan to reject her. With a flip of his hand, he took out the Nirvana Chalcedony and Lightning Body refining fruit that he had obtained from the blood martial arena and consumed them. The chi around his body was also continuously rising under the nourishment of the various medicinal herbs. His surging chi even turned into a violent gust of wind that swept across the bamboo forest and the entire place. Outside the bamboo forest, a ray of blood-red light that could ignore the forbidden power of the sky swept across the ground and landed outside the bamboo forest. As soon as the blood-red light fell, a man with a mean and merciless face walked out of it. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at the bamboo forest. It was Sha Bai Lu. What a delicious smell. Are you hiding in this bamboo forest? If that's the case, I will enter this bamboo forest and enjoy this delicacy of yours. Sha Bai Lu licked his lips. Then he turned into a ray of blood-red light and dashed into the illusory bamboo forest. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.